A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
And now, the Goldbergs. Something very odd has happened at the Goldbergs. It all began late last night when the family was awakened by Sporty's barking. After much investigation, a woman and a young boy were discovered in the barn. And Molly, seeing how tired and helpless they appeared, invited them into the house and put them up for the night. Then, in the morning, a neighbor delivered a note to Molly, and the family has just finished reading it. The note has caused a minor sensation. Everybody's talking at once while Molly tries to get Mr. Boughton, her neighbor, on the phone.
Hello? If you're getting Boughton on the phone, forget it.
Yes, hello. Are you giving me advice on Tom?
Oh, Rosie, please.
Well, listen, quiet. Mr. Boughton.
Well, wait till he comes over, then you...
I said quiet. Sorry. You're sorry. And quiet. Huh. Hello? Hello, Mrs. Boughton? This is Mrs. Goldberg speaking.
Speak specifically, Molly.
Is Mr. Boughton there?
Ask him to come over, if yes.
Nothing, only Mr. Boughton was here this a.m. and he left a note which is...
that you would like him to explain.
The note... Hello, Mrs. Boughton? The note is null and void unless, you see, I mean...
Tell her what you mean.
All right, Mrs. Boughton.
So hang already?
Well... Oh, all right. All right.
What's all right?
Just a minute. Her son Floyd just came and maybe he knows something.
Oh.
Yes, does he, Ma? Yes?
What's he saying, Mom?
Oh, I see.
Again, I see.
Thank you very much. Well, that's what I want to know, Mrs. Boughton, because you see, last night...
Molly, don't start explaining.
Just a minute, Mrs. Boughton, please, if you will. Jake, please. The woman is asking me because she knows an inkling and she wants to know what happened. Please, so if you will, please.
Well, Ma, you...
Please, hello? It's not necessary. Quiet. And quiet is listening. So I'm on the phone. I have 16 years. Hello? Mrs. Boughton? I thought you hung. Well, listen, dear. In the barn last night, the mother and the boy... Well, how big is a child? A child, small. So we took them into the house to sleep. They were tired, and I was tired, so we didn't ask questions. And now this note, and that's all, and that's the extent of my knowledge. Yes. Well, we were tired ourselves. Well, oh, he is? Well, thank you very much. Very much. Bye.
Well, Ma? So,
Floyd said his father's coming over. Mr. Boughton is coming over.
So why the lengthy conversation?
Oh, please, why the lengthy conversation? Jake, please, come also, neighbor. Please. And when a person asks questions, it means an answer is polite, no?
Yes.
So?
Why is it it's your repeated habit to always answer every question with another question? No?
Yes. Yes. So yes. A question, a repeat. Give me the note. Let me also read it again. You have it, Sammy. Push me over a chair. Let me take my feet off. Let me see the note again, please.
Here it is, Mom.
Where are you going, Rosalind?
I'll see if David is still asleep.
Oh, David. That's the child's name, David. That's what the note said, my dear son, David. Don't go, Rosalind. You'll disturb the child. He has time yet to know that his mother's not here.
But maybe she told him, Ma.
According to this note, she didn't tell him. Family, please, read it over very slowly. Let me hear every syllable.
Give me, I'll read it.
Let Sammy read it, Paul.
Why?
No reason.
Here, read it, Sammy. I suppose my diction is not according to Shakespeare.
All right, please read the backwards and the forwards conversations for the moment. Please. I'll read it personally.
No, Ma, let Papa read it.
I don't have to read it. I read it. I know the contents thereof. The question remains now, what are you going to do?
In which way, Jake?
The child is here, no? The mother is not.
So?
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 Yes, so?
But, Jake?
Yes, Jake.
What is there to do?
That's the question I'm asking you.
There's nothing to do. The child is here, and he'll stay here until his mother comes back.
If she comes back.
She'll come back.
And if not?
If not? Yes. Not, and the child is here, no?
Yes.
So?
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 So that's what I'm asking you, is what you want.
What I want. What I would want, I would want the mother to come back.
But if she don't,
Then he'll be with us.
that's exactly what I'm trying to say.
Oh, Sporty, that must be Bowson. That's Bowson. I'll open it. Rosalie, Sammy, no questions, you hear?
No questions, Ma. We're not going to say them.
What did I say? I said no questions. That's what I said. And when I said no questions, I don't need an answer to that.
But, Ma...
Do I need an answer if I say a word? This is lately every word I said. No questions.
Oh, Ma.
Sit down, Sporty. Sit down. Come in, Mr. Bowson. Come in. Good morning, Mr. Goldberg.
Good morning, Barton. We are waiting very anxiously for you to come, Barton.
I put the note I had for you in your mailbox. I was here kind of early, and somebody said there was nobody in the house, and you was all fast asleep. And knowing that the letter was kind of important because she told me it was, well, I fetched it right over for you.
This is very important, Mr. Bowson. Please sit down. Please sit down.
Yes.
Rosalie, dear, fill Mr. Bowson a cup of coffee.
No, I won't have any, thank you. Just a match and a little tobacco from a pipe, thank you.
Sammy, a little tobacco from Mr.
Cigar,
Bowson.
Mr. Barton?
No, thank you.
I'll
Mr.
get you
Goldberg.
some tobacco.
All right.
Go, Sammy, but be careful. Don't wake the child.
I won't.
Mighty handsome figure of a woman.
You mean,
Yes, ma'am. I mean the woman who gave me the note for you.
we didn't even heard how she left the house.
Well, she was standing in the road between Mariana Scudder and Colleen Foot's place when I saw her, and she waved, and I stopped and asked her where she was going and where she was heading for. And she said she was anxious to get back to New York. And I took her as far as I was going, and that was to the creamery. But Judge Boy was just after weighing in, and he was going to New York for the holiday, and he took her down the rest of the way.
She was standing between Colleen Foot's place.
Yes, ma'am.
And she went to New York.
Well, as far as I know, that's where Judge Boy was going, and she went on his truck.
Mr. Barton, some of my tobacco.
Oh, thank you, Sammy, thank you. You ever hear from that pretty girl of yours, Sammy?
Match?
Thanks. Well, I guess you're glad to have Sammy still under your roof, ain't you, Mr. Goldberg?
Yes, indeed.
I got a light, Sammy, thank you.
But, Mr. Barton, how did the little boy's mother come to give you a note to us?
Well, I saw she was distressed, and I asked her could I do something, and she said she didn't have any money. And that was the reason she slept in your house.
Did she say
Did she say why she had to sleep in our house and why she was strangled on the road?
When did not?
Well, she was on the train going to New York, and the child asked for the window to be opened, and her pocketbook fell out, and her ticket was in the pocketbook. I don't think they put her off the train, but she said they did, and they both walked and hitched. And, well, my mind wasn't much on the story she was telling, because I didn't believe much of it. But when she asked me if I knew the folks who lived this side of the church, I said yes.
Did you said Goldberg?
Yes, ma'am. And she asked me would I be so kind as to give you this note because she'd left a little boy with you. And I said to make her feel better that she couldn't have left him in better hands.
Thank you.
She cried a little, and, well, by that time I was at the creamery.
Mama, listen.
He's up. Mama.
A fine to do now.
Poor little fella.
Mama, where's my mama, Mama? Where's Daddy? Even Mama, where's that donkey, Mom? She will stay with you, Mama. Mama, please.
Little David stands there, obviously frightened and confused, asking for his mother. But the stream of words he utters means very little to the Goldbergs. They can see how he feels, but they can't understand him. And Jake looks at Molly, wondering what's to be done now.
In just a moment, X-1. But first, if you're planning to join the family for this holiday weekend, remember you have a friend who will keep you company through the long hours on the road. That friend is your car radio, and it brings you a full weekend of the most stimulating variety entertainment when you tune in to NBC's Monitor. Yes, you set your dial just once for hours and hours of refreshing variety, News as it happens, sports coverage, everything from baseball to skin diving, interviews with the stars. Plus, lots of the relaxing music you like to hear. It's all on Monitor this weekend. And now stay tuned for X-1 on NBC.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in 1,000,000 could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy's science fiction magazine, presents
X-1.
Tonight's story, A Pail of Air, by Fritz Leiber.
It was pretty quiet in the nest. Pa was just sitting by the fire, staring into it like he does these days. And Ma was asleep. That's why it was so quiet. Ma has some pretty bad times when she just screams and screams and huddles back against the blankets that line the nest. Sis was looking at herself in the mirror that hangs next to the bookshelf. I don't know what she finds to look at so long, but then she's a girl. She just looks at herself. Saturdays, when Pa puts a couple of extra lumps of coal on the fire and we take a bath, she looks at herself in the mirror and sometimes she cries. I dropped the book I was reading, and I guess that woke Ma.
Huh? What? What?
Pick up the book, Bud.
I'm sorry, Pa.
It's come back. Hasn't it, Alfred? It's come back.
It was just Bud. He dropped his book.
Oh, but it's come back. Well, it's out there now, isn't it? I feel a lot warmer.
Now, Ethel.
It's up there in the sky. Just the way it always was. I know. I had a dream, Alfred.
I know, dear. Sis, melt your mother a cup of water.
I'm combing my hair.
Sis.
Oh, all right.
Got to get up. I know it's there. There'll be crocuses. And the spring bulbs. And daffodils.
What are daffodils, Ma?
Well, Buddy, they're a flower. And they're very pretty. Yellow on a tall green stalk. Oh, I want to go out. I want to take the children out.
All right now, Ethel. Here's some water.
Come on, children. We'll all go out and you can play in the sun.
Sure, Ma.
Here, drink the water, Ma.
It's cold, Alfred. You rap on the pipes and make that super send up some more heat.
What's a super, Pa?
It doesn't matter, Bud. There aren't any anymore.
Oh.
Pa, the pail's running low.
Bud, you better get into your things and go out and get an extra pail of air.
There are a couple of pails behind the first blankets.
Go on, get into your things.
It isn't back, is it?
No, it isn't.
There's no sun in the sky. No sun, is there?
No, Ma. What was it like?
The sun.
Sis, don't get your ma upset.
The sun was yellow. And so bright you couldn't look at it. Burning hot. So hot. But when you stretched out in it, made you feel warm all over. Tingly warm. It's been so long since I've been that warm.
I was warm last year on my birthday when Pa put all that extra coal on.
And then every morning it would come out of the east, make the clouds all pink and yellow. And the mist would rise in the ground, and then slowly everything would glow warmer, warmer. And then it would be up there in the sky, shining, warm.
Hurry up, Bud.
I'm almost ready, Pa.
I want the sun. I want the sun back. Alfred, Get me the sun.
It's gone, Ethel. There's nothing I can do.
For Christmas? On my birthday?
Go ahead, Bud. Take the big pail and get it full this time. There's no sense in taking the trip for only half a bucket of air.
I spilled it the last time.
It's dark, Alfred. It's dark.
Go ahead, Bud. Strap down the helmet, will you, sis?
For goodness sake, stand up straight.
Okay. All right, I'll be right back.
Don't hold the blankets open too long. All right, Ethel. They're all safe. Bud will be right back with another pail of air. It's all right.
I went through the 30 or so blankets that Pa hung up to slow down the air escaping from the nest. Of course, I knew the way. I've been going out for air since I was a kid. Still, I get a funny, crawly feeling every time I go out of the nest. You gotta go up to the 5th floor, which is just above the blanket of frozen air. You see, when the earth got cold, all the water in the air froze first and made a blanket about 10 feet thick or so. And then down on top of that dropped all the crystals of frozen air, making another blanket 60 or 70 feet thick. I came out of the window we use on the 5th floor and started to scoop up the air into my pail. I had it about full. Boy, my fingers were getting pretty cold when I saw something. Hey, that's a light. Oh, darn it, I kicked over the bucket. Oh, there can't be a light. Not moving around in a window like that. There can't be. Come on, Pa and Sis are back in the nest. I'm up here, and there can't be anyone else. Everybody on Earth is dead except us. I had an idea how Ma must feel sometimes, the way she sees things. But there it was, moving around in the building across the way. I stood there shaking, and I almost froze my feet. I did frost my helmet so solid on the inside I couldn't see anything. So I hurried up and scooped up another bucket of air and headed back for the nest as fast as I could. Pa, I saw something.
Go on, hang those outside clothes up by the fire.
Phew. Pa, I saw something. I did.
Your mother's quiet now. Don't upset her.
Pa, it was a light.
Wait till I get this air next to the fire. Give me the cloth, Sis.
Shall I put another lump of coal on, Pa?
No. The oxygen from this bucket will get the fire up when it begins to melt. There.
Pa, I'm trying to tell you, I saw something up there. Light.
There's lots of lights. Stars.
I know what stars look like, Dopey. They're big, steady white lights in the sky. This was down here in a building.
What is it? Alfred, what is it?
Nothing, Ethel. Now, what is this, Bud?
Well, first I thought it was a lady. A young lady. I mean it. Like in one of those old magazines. I thought I saw it in a window. But then all I saw was a light.
You watched it for some time, son?
Long enough for it to pass 5 windows and go to the next floor.
And it didn't look like stray electricity?
No, Pa, I know what that looks like.
Or a star refracted through an icicle? Sometimes if you catch it at the right angle, it...
Pa, honest, I never saw anything like it before.
All right. I'll go out with you and you show me.
No, Alfred. You can't go and leave us alone, not both of you.
It's all right. We'll be right back.
Here's your helmet, Pa.
There's something out there. I've always known there was something out there waiting to get us.
Hand me my glove.
Something that's part of the cold, hates all warmth, wants to destroy the nest. It's been watching us all this time. Now it's coming after us, and it'll get you, and then it'll come for me. Oh, don't go. Alfred, please don't go.
Everything will be all right. Now, Sis.
Yes, Pa?
You come watch the fire. Keep an eye on that air, too. If it gets too low or doesn't seem to be boiling fast enough, get another bucket behind the blanket.
Alfred, don't go.
I'll take care of it, Pa. Could there really be anybody out there?
I don't see how. We heard the last radio voices a year before Bud was born. There hasn't been anything since then.
Then what could it be?
I don't know. Probably just a reflection. An ice crystal cracking. Come on, Bud. Get your helmet on.
It's funny. When I go out alone, I'm not scared or anything. But when I go out with Pa, I always hang on to his belt like I used to when I was a little kid. Habit, I guess. It's the same no matter what trip we take. On the 5th floor, we stopped to rest just before we went out. We were in the room with the frozen people. The lady sitting looking at the door. The man holding his hands over that funny metal thing Pa calls a radiator. It was like a fire, I guess, but I don't see any place for the cold. We put our helmets together so we could talk.
Catch your breath, son.
Pa, would it be possible... for any of the frozen people to come to life? Like the ones down in the basement around the furnace when we go for water?
No, they're dead. They were caught too quickly when it happened.
Oh, Pa, how do we know we're the only ones?
We don't, but... Well, there's a feeling you get. Because it's always night. There used to be some of that feeling every night in the old days. But the sun chased it away every morning. You wouldn't know about that. You weren't born when the dark star pulled us away from the sun. You wouldn't know unless you'd seen the sun.
I've seen the sun. It's that big star at the end of the Big Dipper. I've seen it.
It isn't the same. Come on. We're wasting time.
I don't know what the city looked like in the old days, but now it's beautiful. The starlight lets you see it pretty well. We're up on a hill, and the plain slopes down away from us. Some taller buildings push up out of the feathery plain, topped by rounded caps of air crystals. Some of them are on a slant because a lot of the buildings are badly twisted by the quakes and everything when a dark star pulled the Earth away from the sun. That's why Pa can't seal up the nest airtight. The building's twisted too bad. Besides, we have to keep the chimney open. We touched our helmets together so we could talk.
Is that where you saw it, son?
It isn't there anymore.
Uh-huh.
But it feels different. As if there's something out here, waiting.
Bud, if you see something like that again, don't tell the others.
Huh? Why not?
Well, your ma's sort of nervous these days, and we owe her all the feeling of safety we can give her. Once it was when your sister was born, I was ready to give up and die, but your mother kept me trying. Another time, she kept the fire going a whole week all by herself when I was sick.
She couldn't do that now. Not the way she is.
But you know that game we sometimes play, tossing a ball around? Well, courage is like a ball. A person can hold it only so long, and then he's got to toss it to someone else. When it's tossed your way, you've got to catch it and hold it tight. And hope there'll be someone else to toss it to when you get tired of being brave.
Yeah, I guess so.
Come on. We'll fill up the pails and get back.
But what about whatever it is out here?
We'll just have to wait and see. Come on. Before the helmets frost over.
It's pretty hard to hide your feelings in the nest. There's just room for the four of us. The blanket overhead just touches when Pa stands up straight. The floor is all covered with thick woolly rugs. Pa says it's inside a much bigger room, but I've never seen the real walls or ceiling. Well, anyway, Pa laughed and kidded about what I'd seen. He said I had an imagination, but we could tell he took it serious. It was Sunday morning by the clocks that Pa kept all wound up on a shelf. So it was time for the story. We all sat around in a circle the way we always do. Except I noticed that Pa casually took a hammer from the shelf and put it beside him. I always liked the story. Of course, Sis and I know it by heart by now. Every Sunday since we were kids. But every once in a while, Pa surprises us by telling it a little different. Or throwing in some extras. It starts out with a song. Ma used to sing it, but she forgets the words sometimes. And now Pa sings it mostly.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, thy purple mountain majesties are above the fruited plain.
Of course, the words don't mean anything. I mean, the skies are spacious enough, but there aren't any waves of grain, and the plain is all covered with a blanket of frozen air. But it's part of the story ceremony, and Pa likes it. He says it reminds him of the old days. After the song, Pa starts the story.
In the days of my youth, the sun hung above, golden and warm, and the earth was fruitful and multiplied, and the fields were green, and the day was glorious, and the wind blew across the hilltops, and the air was free and good to breathe.
That's the part of the story I like best, about how it was with the sun nice and warm. It's hard to believe all those people living without having to worry about cold and air, never waking up sweating and screaming because you dreamed the fire went out. It's impossible to believe, but Pa was a good storyteller, and he made it seem real.
And then the dark star came rushing out of space. In the beginning, they tried to keep the news from the people, but when the floods and the earthquakes started, the truth came out. At first, they thought the dark star would hit the sun, and then they were afraid it would strike the earth itself. But it didn't. It only came close.
Pa tells it like the sun and the dark star fought for the earth like two dogs over a bone. I know what he means because I've seen a picture of a dog in a magazine. And then the dark star won and carried us off. But the sun kept the moon. There were earthquakes and floods. Pa says that mountains fell and oceans slopped over. Oceans, that's a lot of melted water lying around loose. It's hard to imagine. Pa says it was so. Then came the open question time in the story. Sis asked a question about what girls wore for clothes. And I asked Pa how people acted in those days when the earth was twisted and jerked almost apart.
Well, Bud, I was too busy to notice much. A friend of mine, Dr. Weisbrod, and Kelly, the geophysicist, and Walters, the astronomer, we knew what was going to happen. And we were working to fix up a place with airtight walls and insulation and big supplies of food and bottled air. But the place got smashed up in the earthquakes, and they were all killed. So I put the nest together at the last minute in the living room of our apartment. It's a 4-room apartment.
You must have seen some of the people, like the frozen ones downstairs.
At that time, Bud, I only thought of one thing. Your mother and survival. If I had stopped to think, I wouldn't have even tried to make the nest. It would have seemed ridiculous. Blankets and a coal fire against the cold and vacuum of space. But I didn't think. I survived.
I wasn't listening carefully as Pa went on about the building of the nest. I kept thinking about something else. About that light I'd seen outside. I kept asking myself, what if the frozen people were coming to life? What if they were like the liquid helium that crawls toward heat when it should be frozen solid? What if something were coming from the dark star to get us? Something making the frozen people move, not by themselves. That would fit with what I'd seen. A young lady's face and the moving light. I sat there and shivered, thinking of the frozen people with minds from the dark star creeping, crawling, snuffing their way, following the heat to the nest. And then, over from beyond the blankets, I thought I heard a tiny noise.
So I asked myself then, what's the use of going on? Why prolong a doomed existence of hard work and cold and loneliness? The human race is done. The earth is done. Why not give up, I asked myself.
And then I did hear the noise, louder this time, a kind of shuffling tread coming closer.
And then I got the answer. The Earth's always been a lonely place millions of miles from the next planet. And no matter how long the human race might have lived, the end would have come some night. Those things don't matter. What matters is that life is good. There's a lovely texture, like some rich cloth or fur, or the petals of flowers, crocuses, daffodils, or the fire's glow. And that's as true for the last man as the first.
Still, those steps kept shuffling closer. Pa was talking, and Ma was dreaming with her eyes closed, and Sis was looking at herself sideways in the mirror. And I was the only one who heard the noise. A noise outside.
So right then and there I told myself that I was going on as if we had all eternity ahead of us. I'd have children, and I'd teach them all I could. I'd get them to read books, try to enlarge and seal the nest. I'd try to keep everything beautiful and alive. I'd keep alive my feeling of wonder, even at the cold and the dark and the distant stars.
Pa, I hear...
I know.
What is it, Alfred? What is it? What's going on? Oh, you've got to tell me.
Pa, I'm scared.
Quiet. What? You heard it?
Uh-huh. Kind of shuffling, coming toward the nest.
Oh.
Sis, take care of your mother.
It's all right, Ma. Lie down. Come on.
I'll take the hammer. You take the hatchet.
What is it, Pa? What is it?
I don't know. Listen.
It's closer.
Mush.
Pa, the blanket is moving. Ready with your axe.
Hello? Who's there? Is there somebody in there?
Come in. It's all right.
They're alive. Alive.
Who are you?
Alfred Hutchinson. Dr. Alfred Hutchinson. You can take off your helmets in here.
But the air.
We have air.
We bring it in pails.
Come on, Ralph. Let's take off the helmets.
It's impossible.
Well, where are you from? We thought we were the only ones.
Los Alamos.
The nuclear laboratory.
Yes, that's right. We get our power from the reactor, using the stockpile of bombs for fuel.
Then there are others. There are other men. There are other men.
Pa, is it all right? Should I put the axe down?
Yes, it's all right. You can put it down.
You mean you come from another nest?
It's a little bigger than this. We've got a small airtight city with airlocks.
We generate our electricity, food from hydroponics.
I can't believe it. I can't.
I can't believe this. It's impossible. You can't maintain an air supply without hermetic sealing. It's impossible.
Oh, no, it's simple. As long as you keep the fire going to melt the air, and enough air boiling to keep the fire burning.
How did you come here? Why?
Well, we keep scouting around for survivors. There are a number of colonies, Brookhaven, Oak Ridge, and Harwell in England, and the Argonne Laboratory in France. We didn't expect to find anything in this city, though. But our detectors picked up a heat trace, so we tracked it down.
Alfred, you're forgetting your manners. We have company.
Of course. Sis, throw a handful of coal on the fire.
Pa, a whole handful?
Doesn't matter now. And Bud, bring out another pail of air.
Oh, it's incredible.
And you have laboratories and transport?
We only have a two-seater Scout, but if we rip out the bulkhead to the storage compartment, we can make it all right.
We can have you back at Los Alamos in 4 hours.
What's the matter?
I guess we really hadn't thought about it that way.
But, I wouldn't know how to act there. And besides, I haven't any clothes.
Just doesn't seem right to let this fire go out. It's been 18 years. Burning every minute.
But you can't stay here.
Ralph.
But after all...
Ralph.
Oh. Look, Dr. Hutchinson, we'll go out to the ship and bring back a small power heater. I know this is very sudden and upsetting to you. You need a chance to adjust. We'll be back in a few minutes. It's incredible. In buckets. Air in buckets.
Well,
They didn't think the nest smelled so good. I could tell.
She had a wave in her hair. Did you see that? And lipstick.
I suppose we have to decide what to do.
Pa, at Los Alamos and those other places, there'll be lots of people, won't there?
Yes,
I mean, not just your father or a brother.
that's right.
Boys?
I suppose so. But somehow I feel a little empty.
Alfred, it's different now that we know others are alive. You don't have to feel the responsibility for keeping the human race going.
Pa, I'd like to see those rockets and laboratories. Wouldn't you, Pa?
I suppose so.
It won't be easy leaving the nest. I mean, it's just right, and there's only 4 of us. It's kind of a scary idea. Big place with a lot of strangers.
You'll get over that feeling, son. The trouble with the world was that it kept getting smaller and smaller till it ended with just the nest. Now it'll be good to have a real, huge world again. The way it was in the beginning.
And so, we're going to leave the nest in the morning. By Pa's clocks. We've got the power heater going now. Seems funny to be this warm when it isn't Christmas or somebody's birthday. But still, it's hard for me to realize that this is the last time I'll go out of the nest, through all the blankets, to get a pail of air.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was an NBC Radio Network production.
Tired of the everyday routine? Ever dream of a life of romantic adventure? You want to get away from it all?
We offer you Escape. Escape, transcribed to free you from the 4 walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
It is September of 1939. The Germans are about to march into Poland, and you are standing in the English manor house with a complete list of Nazi agents in your possession. While facing you, guns drawn, are 3 people who, to get that list, would gladly kill you.
Today, with Ben Wright starred as Sir Everard Dominey, we bring you an exciting story of super espionage, as E. Phillips Oppenheim told it in his fascinating novel, The Great Impersonation.
Incredible. Von Ragenstein, this is incredible. He is drunk?
Dead drunk. You seldom otherwise.
Hold the light closer to the cut so I can see it better.
Here.
Truly incredible, von Ragenstein. You and he are as alike as... Well, I would swear it was you lying here on the cot.
Yeah.
Hair, nose, mouth, everything like a smudged and smeared portrait of yourself. Identical features.
And we have the same color eyes, and there's not an inch of difference in our height.
Where did you find him?
Oh, he staggered into camp 3 days ago. He had been hunting lion upriver until his boys deserted him. He had not paid them in several months, I gather. I sent a runner to fetch you at once.
That is something I shall have to report to Berlin as a serious breach of discipline von Ragenstein. You were to avoid all contact with me except through the usual channels.
But, Dr. Schmidt, may I...
Permit me to finish. Obedience to orders is as necessary in the Secret Service as it is in any other branch of the German army.
I understand.
I have spent 20 years here in Tanganyika, establishing myself as a harmless old archaeologist. During that time, I have created an espionage organization second to none, right under the noses of the English. And not once have they suspected me. Is all that to be ruined because you choose to engage in a little frolic of your own?
This was not a frolic. Sir, I weighed the risk very carefully and considered it worthwhile. I believe you will agree with me when I tell you that this man is Sir Everard Domini, an English baronet, and that we attended Oxford together. Shall I continue?
Yes, continue, von Ragenstein.
He is a ne'er-do-well. He lives on a small sum that comes to him each month from his estate in Norfolk. He has been here in Africa almost as long as I. 11 years. Oh, but I could go on for hours. I know as much about him as he does himself. And I've been thinking
that you could go to England as Sir Everard Domini, and no one there would be the wiser.
Dr. Schmidt, a German agent in England, operating at the highest social level.
Would be invaluable, I agree, but...
But what, sir?
The proposal raises 3 questions in my mind.
So?
What about the assignment upon which you are engaged here?
A certain flexibility is necessary in these matters.
And how will Dr. Goebbels feel about your leaving Africa?
Surely by this time he has either forgiven me or forgotten the entire incident.
You don't know the little doctor if you think that. When someone steals away one of his women, as you did, what was her name?
Stephanie Strom.
Yeah, as you did, Stephanie Strom. He never forgets and never forgives. But I will undertake the responsibility for initiating your plan. Prepare to leave for England at once. You will receive further orders before you embark.
Thank you, sir.
I must go now. There are many arrangements to be made.
Sir, you said that there were 3 questions raised in your mind.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering what to do with this Englishman. Kill him as soon as possible and dispose of his body. Good luck, von Ragenstein.
Heil Hitler. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Heil Hitler. That night, a new Sir Everard Domini was born, and Leopold Ragenstein vanished from the face of the earth. Dr. Schmidt's arrangements were most thorough, and I arrived in London less than a month later.
Mr. Mencken will see you now, sir.
Thank you.
My dear Sir Everard, a most unexpected pleasure. Dear me, how changed you are, and how well you look.
Credit Africa, Mr. Mencken. A wonderful country.
It's done wonders for you. Dear me. Are you thinking of settling down here for a time?
Well, that depends a little upon what you have to tell me.
Oh, yes. Yes, of course. Regarding the matter of Roger Unthank, nothing has been heard of him since the day you left England. His body has never been found.
And, my wife?
Her ladyship's condition is, I believe, unchanged. She is in excellent physical health, but mentally...
She still swears to take my life if I sleep under the same roof as she is? I may very likely settle down at Domini Hall.
Oh, I'm afraid the estate is still not in very good condition. All those debts you left behind.
Quite, yes. The business object of my visit to you is to ask you to make arrangements as quickly as possible for the paying off of the mortgages of the Domini estate.
What?
I've been making a good deal of money in Africa.
Great Scott. A Domini making money. In the 40 years I've managed the Domini interests, I've never known that to happen. Dear, I can hardly believe it.
Well, have lunch with me, Mr. Mangan, and I'll tell you something of my speculations in Africa.
Why, thank you, Sir Everard.
Oh, my knowledge of restaurants in London is a bit, dated.
May I suggest the Carlton?
Oh, excellent.
Give me your hat, Sir Everard. I shall check it. I'll be with you, darling.
All right, I'll wait for you right here.
Leopold!
Leopold, why didn't you let me know you're in England? Leopold, how happy I am.
I think you're making a mistake. My name is not Leopold.
Darling, do you mind knowing me?
Madam, I do not have the pleasure. My name is Domini. Everard Domini.
I don't Leopold, my address is 17 Belgrave Square. Come there at 7 this evening.
But, my dear
I
lady...
shall expect you at 7.
Here we are.
7 sharp.
Dear me, Sir Everard, wasn't that Stephanie Strode?
Well, I don't know. She mistook me for someone else.
Oh, she's a marvelous actress. Marvelous. I saw her in Macbeth last month. And she... table for two.
Yes, sir. This way, please.
She played Lady Macbeth, you know. And in that scene...
Oh, excuse me one moment, Mr. Mangan. Seaman! Seaman, my dear fellow, how are you?
Everard, what a surprise.
May I introduce my friend and legal advisor, Mr. Mangan? Mr. Mangan, Mr. Seaman.
How do you do?
Seaman and I were business associates in Africa. Will you join us at lunch, Seaman?
Thank you, but I cannot. Where are you staying, Everard?
At my estate in Norfolk, near Flankness. I'm driving there this evening.
Why, I have to be in Norfolk on business tomorrow.
Be my guest, will you?
Thank you, Everard. Thank you. Good day, Mr. Mangan.
Good day, sir. Now, as I was saying, what was I saying?
You were about to ask me if I cared for a drink, and I was about to say yes, a scotch and soda.
Oh, yes. The same for me.
Yes, sir.
Sir Everard, do you think it wise to return to Domini Hall before Lady Domini has been prepared for it?
Mr. Mangan, does she really regard me still as the murderer of Roger Unthank?
The mystery has never been solved. It's well known that you two fought that night and that you staggered home almost senseless. Roger Unthank has never been seen since.
If I'd killed him, why wasn't his body found?
Oh, there are many theories and quite a few superstitions. You may as well be prepared for one of them. There's not a soul for miles around Domini Hall who doesn't believe the ghost of Roger Unthank still haunts the Black Wood near where you fought.
But that's incredible.
Yes, I would agree. Except that from time to time, it has been heard shrieking and sobbing.
Oh, come
Sir
now.
Sir Everard, I have heard it myself.
Tired, Mr. Mangan?
Just a bit. We shall be there in a few minutes. I telephoned before we left London and they've rooms ready for us.
Any of the old servants still left?
Oh, none. Every servant and caretaker we've had there has given notice within a month. At least a dozen swore that they had seen the ghost of Roger Unthank and heard his call at night. That's the sole reason why I haven't recommended long ago that you should get rid of Mrs. Unthank.
Oh, she is still in attendance upon Lady Domini?
We couldn't get anyone else to stay there. And her ladyship absolutely declines to leave the hall. Through that gate, Sir Everard.
Yes, I remember. Oh, some of the old wall is down, I see.
That wall has been down, to my knowledge, for 30 years.
Of course. I'd forgotten.
We've kept the old place weathertight, and I don't think you will miss the timber we were forced to sell.
Oh. Any from the Blackwood?
Not a twig. Not one of the woodmen would ever go near the place.
You and I will take a look at the Blackwood in the morning.
Well, if you insist, Sir Everard. How does it feel to be at home after all these years?
I feel as though this is my first visit.
Good evening, Mrs. Unthank.
There's no place in this house for you, Everard Daubeny. No place here for murderers.
Really, my good
Can
woman?
you face me, Everard Daubeny? You who murdered my son and made a madwoman of your wife.
Mrs. Unthank, return to your duties at once and understand that this house is mine to enter or leave when I choose.
And you will treat Sir Everard with respect. Have rooms been prepared for us?
You will be in the West Wing, Mr. Mangan. And the Oak Room has been prepared for Sir Everard. You mentioned respect, Mr. Mangan. If he stays here against my bidding, perhaps her ladyship will show him what respect means. Good night.
Oh, dear. My dear Sir Everard, I'm dreadfully sorry that...
Oh, that's quite all right. Quite all right. Well, I think I'll turn in immediately. We'll make the rounds of the estate after breakfast.
Sir Everard, are you really going to sleep in the oak room?
Yes. Why?
Have you forgotten? It's next to her ladyship's. And...
No, I have not forgotten. Good night, Mr. Mangan. I do not know how long I had been asleep when I felt the thin, cold pressure against my throat. I opened my eyes and I saw a hand, a small, slim hand in the moonlight just beneath my chin.
If you move, you will die. Remain still. I wish to look at you.
Rose.
You are very brave to have come here. Braver than I remembered.
Why do you wish to kill me?
Doesn't it say somewhere? A life for a life. You killed Roger Unthank. Last night his spirit called to me below my window. No. Don't move. Let me look at you, my husband. The strange thing grown after all these years. A husband.
What do you see?
You're wonderfully changed. Better looking.
I have changed, Rose. And I've come back a rich man. I shall bring some wonderful doctors here, and they'll make you quite strong and well again.
I've been wondering why I don't kill you ever, as I've sworn to. I know now. I know why I don't.
Why, Rose?
Because I've just realized you aren't Everard at all. Yes, that's why. You needn't fear ever that I shall kill you, because you're not Everard at all.
I spent the most of the next day going over the estate with Mangan, and when he left for London in the afternoon, he carried with him my cheque for £90,000 to settle the mortgage on Domney. And soon after his departure, Seaman arrived.
And it was very good of you to have invited me.
Well, come into the library. How was your trip here?
Oh, very pleasant. Very pleasant. The countryside is lovely this time of year, and, how did it go, Leopold?
Well, I think good. Mangan accepted me completely as Everard Domini. And if I say so myself, I think that I have made a very convincing transformation into an English country gentleman. Of course, it's been uncommonly expensive. Yeah. Every penny you gave me when we met at Cape Town is gone to pay off the mortgage of Sir Everard's... excuse me, on my estate.
Well, we could not have you return home to a poverty-stricken domain. You'd have held no place whatsoever in English social life and no welcome from those with whom we desired you to stand well. Now, there is no bottom to our purse in these matters, and more will be deposited to your account.
From my African investments?
Yeah, from your African investments. So, all has gone smoothly?
Yeah, all except for one thing.
Oh?
Stephanie Strom met me by chance in a restaurant yesterday. She recognized me at once, of course, and seemed quite piqued when I denied knowing her. She demanded I called upon her at her home yesterday evening.
Well?
Has it occurred to you that she has claims upon Leopold von Ragerstein which would altogether interfere with the career of Everard Domini? Our relationship before I left Germany was fairly well known, and if we are seen together now, someone might put two and two together and...
Yeah, you're right, of course. I'll see what I can do.
It will not be easy. Stephanie is extremely strong-willed and impetuous.
She will do as she is told. See? Anything else?
No.
Good. Now listen very carefully. I have instructions for you.
I am listening.
We move upon Poland in September. Now, if England declares war, it will, of course, render espionage work here extremely difficult in two major respects.
Yeah,
One, the English will redouble security precautions. And two, it will be almost impossible to bring in money with which to pay our agents in this country. It is with the second difficulty that you will be concerned. Your function will be that of paymaster.
Go on.
Now, from now until September, £3 million will be given to you.
To whom do I disperse this money?
The day we begin to conquer Poland, written instructions together with a list of all our agents here and in Ireland will be placed in your hands.
Understood.
So until then, live the life of Sir Everard Domini, Baronet. So I will visit you from time to time to keep you abreast of events. So goodbye for the present, Leopold. I have a million things to do. Oh, and good luck in your impersonation.
Thank you. I think I shall need it.
In just a moment, we will return to Escape. But first...
6 years after the last battle of the American Revolution, the people of America were in the midst of a great debate, whether to vote for or against the Constitution. Here is what Governor Clinton said to the people of New York in 1787. Your fate and that of your posterity depends on your present conduct. Do not give them reason to curse you, and do not give yourselves cause to be blamed. As individuals, you are ambitious to leave behind you a good name, and to your children a fair political inheritance. Yes, the men who framed the Constitution did so not only for themselves, but for the future. We today are that future.
And now, with our star, Ben Wright, as Von Dragenstein, and Sir Everard Dominey, we return to the second act of Escape and The Great Impersonation.
I followed Simon's instructions to the letter and pursued exactly the course I thought Sir Everard Dominey himself would be likely to take. I put Lady Dominey in the hands of a Dr. Harrison, a psychiatrist. I pensioned Mrs. Unthank off, but to my surprise, she remained in the vicinity. I began to entertain upon a lavish scale, shooting parties, hunts, dinners, and dances. Unavoidably, Stephanie appeared among my guests from time to time. It was evident from her manner that Simon had spoken to her concerning me, and quite forcibly. It was also evident that she did not like it. I could see her patience wearing thinner and thinner. And one Friday to Monday, as I was walking through the garden after breakfast...
I wish to speak to you alone.
So my guests will be...
Your guests are well occupied. And in any case, I'm one of them.
What is it, Stephanie?
Leopold, can it be you've lost your love for me? You've changed so much and in so many ways.
Stephanie, I thought it had been impressed upon you. I am not Leopold, but Everard Dominey, an Englishman and the owner of this house and the husband of Lady Dominey.
I can almost believe you are an Englishman. You stand there cold and aloof as one. You whose tears have fallen upon my hand, whose lips...
You speak of one who is dead.
What has changed you like this? What has dried up all the passion in you?
Careful, Stephanie. Someone has come. Yes, what is it, Parkins?
Beg pardon, sir, but Lady Dominey has returned.
Oh, thank you, Parkins. Stephanie, will you excuse me?
Leopold, something has just occurred to me, and I shall not see you, or rather, trouble you for a while. I'm going to take a sea voyage.
A sea voyage? Where?
To Africa, Leopold. To Africa.
May I see my wife, Dr. Harrison?
This evening, perhaps. It's been a fatiguing journey for her, and I would prefer her to rest as much as possible.
How is she?
Well, except for one hallucination, she's in perfect health.
And this one hallucination?
But you're not her husband. It's not within my power to dispel this hallucination. You are the one to do it. That's why I brought her home.
What can I do, Doctor?
She needs warmth and affection, Sir Everard.
I see. I'm very grateful to you, Doctor. I shall do everything I can to complete her recovery.
Thank you.
Yes?
It's I, Rose. May I come in?
Yes, Everett.
Rose, I couldn't go to sleep before welcoming you home.
Thank you, Everett, dear. That makes me very happy.
You're looking well and extremely lovely.
I am well. All the foolishness is gone. I know that whatever happened to poor Roger, it was not you who killed him. I know that I never really heard his ghost call to me. It was my imagination. I can't think why I ever wanted to hurt you. I'm sure I love you.
Then why do you doubt that I am your husband?
Oh, so like me, yet so unlike him. His daddy died in Africa.
Then who am I, Rose?
I don't know. But you're kind to me. And when you're near, I'm happy.
Rose, look at me. I am Everard. I am. Can't you see?
It's Roger. He's calling. Everett, I do hear it, don't I? It's not just in my head.
Rose.
Let me go. I must wave to him from the window. He never rests until I wave to him from the window. Please.
Rose, if you love me, do one great favor for me. Do not go to the window. Don't wave.
I must wave. I can't stand his cry. It's
Rose,
just...
as you love me. Please.
Oh. All right, Everett. I'll do as you say, but hurry, please, hurry.
I ran out of her suite and down the stairs. Parkins was standing in the entrance to Domini Hall, a heavy walking stick in his hand. I told him to follow me, and we hurried through the garden. And there, beneath Rose's window, I saw a dark shape. Slowly now, Parkins. Slowly and quietly. Parkins, help me. Come on, your stick. Oh, well done, Parkins. Do you have a match?
Yes, sir.
Well, strike it, man, strike it.
Oh, very good.
Hi. Take a look. And who is it?
It's Roger Unthank.
Telephone the hospital in Plankton to send an ambulance for him at once.
Right. Roger! Oh, you've killed him. You've killed my son.
He's not dead, Mrs. Unthank. Though he deserves to be.
His jealousy drove him mad.
If
Now you've
Lady
done this
Domini
to him.
recovers, I will forgive both you and your son for this revolting hoax. If she does not, I wish you both the blackest corner of hell. Rose had received a great shock that night. But as the summer wore on, she began to mend, and Dr. Harrison told me toward the end of August that he had every hope for her complete recovery. Meanwhile, the drift toward war quickened, and on the morning of the 1st of September, the German army smashed its way across the border into Poland. Seaman telephoned me that morning to inform me that he would be at Domini Hall that evening for a business conference, and about 9 o'clock, he arrived.
Mr. Seaman is here, sir.
Thank you, Parkins. Oh, hello, Seaman.
Oh, have you heard the terrible news, Everard? Have you heard the wonderful news, Leopold? Our army is simply leaping ahead.
I know. I've been listening to the wireless.
We have to work quickly, very quickly. I must be in Ireland by tomorrow morning. Here, take these.
What is it?
These are microfilms no larger than postage stamps. They contain your orders and the list of all our agents in these islands. Now, Leopold, the fate of our espionage service here is now in your hands.
Yeah, I understand.
Good.
And speaking of precaution, as you stooped to sit down just now, I distinctly saw the shape of your revolver in your hip pocket.
Oh?
Do you think it is wise to be carrying firearms about just now?
Oh, yeah, quite right. Here, take care of it for me. Quick, get the films out of sight.
Into this drawer.
Yes?
What is it?
Sorry to disturb you, sir, but Miss Strom is here and she...
And insists upon seeing you.
Stephanie. Thank you, Parkins. That will be all.
Yes, sir.
Stephanie, I did not know you had returned from Africa.
This afternoon, and I brought a visitor with me. Now tell me, Dr. Schmidt, who is this man? Leopold or the Englishman?
Why, he is the Englishman.
What have you done with Leopold? What have you done with him?
He met with the fate he prepared for me. His body sleeps on the bed of the Ruma River.
I don't understand. You came to me at Cape Town. You had all von Hagerstein's letters. You know his history.
We exchanged the most intimate confidences in his camp. The letters and papers I took from him.
And the money, the £3 million?
If the German Secret Service wishes to formulate a claim and sue
What are you? You two lumps of earth, clods. You let this Englishman stand there.
The lists. He has the lists of agents.
Yes, and they should prove of great interest to His Majesty's government.
Do something. We are 3 against 1.
Seaman. Back, Doctor. Not another step or I'll shoot.
Seaman.
Get back, Seaman.
No, don't shoot. Don't shoot. Please, don't shoot.
Yes, Rod?
Telephone the military barracks at Norwich. Ask them to send a car and a strong escort immediately.
Yes, sir.
And then, Parkins, come back here and see what my guests will have.
We're going now, Sir Everard.
How is she?
She's well. She's entirely well. But see for yourself.
Everard.
Oh, Rose, my darling.
Oh, my dearest. There were times when I couldn't believe you were my Everard. And now...
Now
I know.
Escape is produced and directed by Norman MacDonald. Today we have presented transcribed The Great Impersonation by E. Phillips Oppenheim, adapted for radio by Walter Newman, with editorial supervision by John Dunkel. Starred as Sir Everard Dominey was Ben Wright, with Gene Bates, John Daner, Gabriel Windsor, Ted Von Eltz, Edgar Barrier, Ann Morrison, Parley Bear, and Ramsey Hill. Escape has come to you through the worldwide facilities of the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
Years ago, Mrs. Patricia Gregory's yacht was wrecked in the South Seas. 14 years Mrs. Gregory has searched the world over in hopes she might find her little daughter Joan alive and well, though the world has always believed the child was lost in the shipwreck. Now the Gregory yacht, the Joan Gregory, is on the high seas, once more searching for little Joan. Captain Bradford is in charge of the cruise for Mrs. Gregory, and Jerry Hall, a young amateur radio operator from California, is with them. The yacht is 5 days out of Los Angeles, running through the South Seas. We find Mrs. Gregory, Captain Pex Bradford, and Jerry Hall in the chart room on the Joan Gregory.
Gee, but it's great to be really in the South Seas with you, Mrs. Gregory. Now that Captain Bradford has quit being suspicious of me.
You could hardly blame him, Jerry. You didn't know there was another radio in the country that would receive on that wavelength, much less transmit on it.
Oh, forget it, son. I guess you'll do.
I only hope we won't be disappointed. If we do locate this island, and if the little girl on it is... Oh, if she only could be my little Joan.
Now, Patricia, don't get too worked up over this story.
But this is the real thing. I know it is. Nobody would make up a story like that about your little girl. And look at the way those mysterious radio messages have kept coming in every day we've been at sea.
I know, Jerry, but people have made up some wild tales to try and get some of my money. You know, I've offered a big reward for news of Joan.
It's swell you named this yacht after her.
I've thought and prayed of nothing but Joan for 14 years. Now, I may be near her at last.
Well, if there's any truth in this story, we'll soon know it. We're about 4,000 miles from Los Angeles.
Are we getting close to the island?
We're getting close to the spot on the chart where the old sailor said the island was, if that means anything.
We've just got to find an island where he said it was.
But the chart shows there isn't an island anybody could live on within 100 miles of the position the old man gave.
Right, Jerry, and the chart is probably correct. We'll keep looking around. A lot of ocean in this vicinity. And if there is such an island...
Tex, you do think there's a chance, don't you?
Now, don't get your hopes up. There's always a chance of anything happening in the ocean. Come in. Come on in, Skipper. What's on your mind?
Radio.
What about the radio?
Message.
What about?
Sailor.
Let's have it quickly, Skipper. More news about the island?
No.
Come on, Skipper. Out with it. What about the old sailor?
Dead.
Dead.
Dead?
No more news, eh?
Nope.
That all there was to it?
Yep.
Then we know as much as the old sailor will ever be able to tell us about his magic island and the little girl on it.
I'm afraid so, Mrs. Gregory. But if the old man told the truth about the position of the island, we can find it easy enough.
That all, Skipper?
Nope.
Got something on your mind?
Yep.
Let's have it.
Come.
Me?
You.
I'll be with you in a minute, Skipper. We've got a little work to do on this chart now.
Now.
Important?
Very.
Okay, you and Jerry work on that chart, Pat. I've got to go up on the bridge with the skipper.
Gee, Captain Bradford's sure a dandy fella, isn't he?
I think so, Jerry.
Uh-huh. I can see you do.
Why, Jerry.
Oh, I don't mind. It's all right with me.
Well, thank you, Jerry.
Oh, that's all right. Say, there's something I don't quite understand about this boat of yours.
Oh, yes?
That funny old guy that was just in here and won't say more than a word at a time, he's the skipper, isn't he?
Yes, and though he does have a peculiar way of speaking, he's the best yacht captain I've ever seen.
Oh, sure. Anybody can see he knows his business on the water. But what I mean is, well, you call him skipper and Captain Bradford captain. Now, all the boats I ever heard of, there was only one skipper, and he was the captain. Or only one captain, and he was the skipper. Or only one... Oh, now I'm all mixed up.
Well, that's easy, Jerry. The skipper, Captain John Craig, is captain of my yacht. Captain Bradford's title is from the Army, and he acts as master and owner's representative when we're aboard the Joan Gregory. Anything else you'd like to know about me?
Well, gee, I don't mean to be rude, Mrs. Gregory, but you made me tell you all about myself, and you even had my dad come down to the dock and asked him a lot of questions.
So we did, Jerry. You must remember that you came to my house at midnight, a stranger. And surely you understand that in a case like this, we couldn't take any chances with you.
Well, I'm taking chances with you.
I never thought of it just that way, but perhaps you are, Jerry. Very well. Cross-examine.
Swell. Your house was a funny place, with a front door that took flashlight pictures of a fellow when he opened it.
I have a great many valuable things in my home.
Well, that part's all right. But how about the shortwave radio in your automobile? You know, it's against the law to have a shortwave set in your car, unless you're working for the government. Say, are you a G-man? No. I mean, a G-lady?
I'm afraid I can't answer that, Jerry. At least not until we know you a little better. In the meantime, you can safely look to Captain Bradford for all your orders.
I'm glad to get that much of it straightened out, anyhow.
And now that you're satisfied as to my offices, we'd better study this chart as Tex told us to.
Oh, may I ask you just one more thing about your little girl?
Of course.
Well, nobody knows exactly what she looks like now. But I've been thinking about that picture you showed me of yourself. You know, taken when you were about the same age Joan is now. Don't you think she would most likely look like that picture?
Why, I suppose she might. Why do you ask?
Well, to tell you the truth, Mrs. Gregory, I've been hoping she would look exactly like that picture.
Uh-huh.
Then if she'll only grow up to be as pretty as you are now, well, it's kind of nice for a fella to know what his girl is going to look like when she gets older.
Jerry, you're way ahead of yourself, I'm afraid. Why, you're just 16 now, and Joan would be barely 15.
Well, 16's pretty old. I guess I know what I want. And when we find Joan, well, you see, I'll show you.
Jerry, you do help me a lot. I've been rather hopeless and doubtful about it all. You seem to be just taking it for granted that we're really going to find my little girl.
Well, I've got a hunch. And when I get a hunch, everything's going to come out slick.
Oh, Tex. What did the skipper say? What's wrong? The storm getting worse?
Sounded like it when you opened that door. But the boat isn't rolling any more than it was.
Well, Tex, what is it? You look so... Has something happened?
I don't think so yet. But if it hasn't happened, something is going to happen.
What?
The skipper took me up forward and showed me, well, things I'd never seen before.
Is the storm going to be a bad one?
Oh, that wouldn't make Tex act like this, Jerry. He's been through a lot of storms.
But this is different. This is one storm we can't go through.
What? Well, what do you mean, sir?
Just what I said, son. And if it doesn't make sense to you, then we're in the same boat.
Tell us what it is, Tex. Jerry and I aren't afraid. What's going on?
I've been standing up there on the bridge with the skipper for 10 minutes. The bow of this boat has been right up against what I'd call a heavy bank of fog, and there we stay.
Is the wind so high we can't make any headway?
Did you ever see a bank of fog stand? Stand perfectly still in that kind of a wind?
Tex, what are you getting at? A fog bank standing still in a gale. And the boat doesn't make any way?
No, you might as well come on deck, both of you. Then you won't think it's just me that's crazy. Come on. Now, come up forward and see it for yourselves.
Golly whiskers! That's some squall, all right. And we're running right smack into the center of it.
I've seen lots of these. Let the skipper make everything fast, and we'll go below and ride it out.
You've never seen one of these. We've been right here with the prow of this craft hard against that fog bank for the last half an hour. And the engines are full speed ahead.
You mean that fog is holding us here just like a brick wall?
Why, that's impossible.
I guess if the storm was hard enough, we'd almost stand still.
We might, Jerry, but that isn't it. Even if that could be the case, wouldn't this fog move a little? Wouldn't the roll of the boat change? And look around you. Wouldn't the storm be going someplace?
Golly gee, you're right, Captain. Look, Mrs. Gregory, the ocean is as smooth as if it had oil on it, everywhere except right in front of us. And the sky is clear. There is something funny about this.
What can it mean, Ted? I never heard of anything like this before. It's weird, uncanny. Just a smooth mountain of fog ahead, dead ahead. We're on the edge of a roaring storm, and yet we can't be, for all's clear around us. The motors are nearly tearing the boat to pieces, yet we don't move. What is it, Tex? What is it?
Now, don't get excited, Mrs. Gregory. I guess nothing can happen that the skipper and Tex and I can't handle.
I'm not exactly afraid.
No, nor I, but I'd like it better if we could understand it.
Will you let me try something, Captain? I've got an idea.
That's one more idea than I've got. Go to it, son.
Well, signal the engine room for full speed astern, and let's see what happens. I never heard of a storm that you couldn't run into or out of or around or away from or something.
We'll try it, Jerry. Full speed astern it is.
Now they're coming. It's pulling hard astern now.
But we don't move. The yacht acts as if she was tied up by the bow. We don't move, Tex. We don't move.
Steady, Pat. Don't go to pieces. Well, Jerry?
That didn't do any good, did it? I give up.
There must be something to do. This can't be real.
Gee, that's funny. The storm stopped.
And the engines have stopped.
Everything has stopped. Why, there isn't a sound.
That fog is standing perfectly still and straight, like a gray cement wall. Only a little tiny piece of fog floating off into the still air. This is getting kind of spooky, isn't it?
There's something mighty wrong here. I don't like it.
But what can we do?
Yes, Skipper, what is it now?
Stopped.
What stopped?
Everything.
Generators? And everything in the engine room?
Everything.
I'll get on the radio and see what I can raise.
Stopped.
Well, we can run it from the batteries.
Dead.
Battery's dead, eh? And every instrument on board is stopped. You stay here and stand watch, Skipper. Hold the crew ready. I've got an idea. Come back in the chart room, Pat. You too, Jerry.
All right.
What are you thinking of, Captain Bradford?
Look at this chart.
Oh, our position doesn't mean anything if the instruments are out of order.
But the instruments were all right just as we hit this thing, whatever it is. We haven't moved since. There. Right there is our exact position. Look at it.
Oh, I see it now. Look, Jerry. We're there. This is the spot.
Then our position is right. The old sailor said, yeah, the ship won't move. That bank of fog. Sure it is. It must be. This is the Magic Island.
It all started in Los Angeles when Jerry Hall heard a radio broadcast over his shortwave set. The report said that an old sailor had been picked up from a small boat in the Pacific Ocean and had told a fantastic tale about a little white girl living on a mysterious island in the South Seas. How near the truth the old sailor was with his island of weird happenings, we shall soon know. Mrs. Patricia Gregory has come to the South Seas in her private yacht, hoping to find some evidence that there is such an island and her little lost girl living on it. We find Mrs. Gregory, Captain Tex Bradford, and Jerry talking excitedly in the chart room of the yacht.
Now take it easy, Jerry. There's no such thing as a magic island or a magic anything else that I ever heard of.
Then how do you explain the yacht being stuck for an hour, held right here by a bank of fog? We can't go forward or astern, and every instrument on board is dead.
Jerry's right, Tex. There's more to this than just a storm or a fog or well, there is.
All right. Now, Patricia, you just hold everything while we look this over. I don't want you to get your hopes up too high about this thing.
But this mysterious fog bank is right on the spot where the old sailor said the island was.
That's the whole trouble, Jerry. All we've got to go on is what some old sailor said.
But the radio report said he'd been a junior officer and a navigator.
Sure. He'd know about the position being correct and all that.
If he was in his right mind, yes. Don't forget that he was an old man, sick and delirious, nearly dead from exposure and fatigue. When he was picked up out of the open sea, he had no map, not a scrap of paper to verify the position.
But it said he left a diary on the Magic Island and that he kept it carefully for every day he was there.
Then why did he leave this diary on the island?
Well, maybe he was a prisoner there and had to leave without taking anything that belonged to him.
Oh, stop romancing, Jerry. You're raising Mrs. Gregory's hopes too high. She's been disappointed so many times in all the years she's been trying to locate this girl.
I know that. But this is near the spot where you were shipwrecked 14 years ago, isn't it, Mrs. Gregory?
It couldn't have been very far from here. I remember our position so clearly.
Well, the old sailor said we'd find something mysterious when we got to this spot. Well, gosh, that fog bank is mysterious enough, so part of the story is true anyway.
And if that much is true, why can't it be possible that Joan, my little girl, is on the island?
We've got to find out right away.
All right, the yacht won't move and the fog won't move. If there was an island behind that fog, we couldn't get to it.
I know one thing we haven't tried.
Oh, then let's try it. Try anything, only do something.
Captain Bradford, you told me that ray generator thing of yours would penetrate fog, didn't you?
Why, of course, Tex. You've been waiting a year for an opportunity to try your fog-penetrating machine. We can look right through the fog with that, can't we?
Well, we could if we could use the machine.
Oh, golly whiskers, that's right. The machine won't work. No generators. Won't the batteries pull it?
They would, but they're dead, too.
But we just can't sit here and do nothing.
Oh, I'm sorry, Pat, but there doesn't seem to be anything else we can do until that fog lets go of us.
Now, look, fog can't hold a big boat. That doesn't make sense to me.
No, it adds up wrong for me, too, boy, but there it is. The bow of this boat is held tight against a bank of fog, just as solid as if we were anchored to a concrete wall. The engines won't push us through the fog, and they won't pull us off the fog. Every instrument on board is dead. Even the radio tubes are paralyzed.
Then there's only one answer. Electricity of some kind.
But where would the electricity be coming from?
No good, Jerry. We might be over a magnetic field of some kind that would throw the instruments out of order. I've seen that happen in a lot of places. But enough real electricity to hold a heavy boat powerless? No chance.
Oh, yes, Skipper?
Hurry.
What's up, Skipper?
Loose.
I think we are myself.
Drifting.
We're drifting, Skipper. The yacht's loose?
Yep. Get the engineer quick. Full speed astern. Hold her there till we get away from that fog or whatever it is.
Aye.
Come on, folks. Let's go topside.
Oh, boy. This is sure swell.
It's certainly uncanny enough, Jerry.
Jerry, come here. We're backing away all right. There stands your fog bank.
Now, we can start your fog light gadget and try it out.
You think we can actually see through the fog with it, Tex?
I know we can. But wait till we're safely away from that gray wall.
Here comes the skipper on the run. I wish he'd get excited enough to say more than one word at a time.
Hush, Jerry. He'll hear you.
Generators.
How's that, Skipper?
Generators.
They working all right now?
Aye.
Then the other instruments ought to be all right, too. Let's check our position again.
Checked.
Good old Skipper. Where are we?
Here.
Oh, we know that, but where's here? Here, show us on the chart. The exact position is important, you know. Here, Jerry, help me hold this chart still.
There.
Look, Mrs. Gregory. We're right where the old sailor said we'd find the Magic Island.
Everything working now, Skipper?
Is the radio okay?
Aye.
Thanks, Skipper. Hold her steady now. Just keep the motors idling. If we drift away a little, let her drift.
Aye.
Can I try the radio now?
No, Jerry. Let's don't call anybody in yet.
No, Jerry. If we have found something unusual, let's work it out for ourselves.
Oh, heck. I'm sorry. But I just thought of starting the radio.
Well, let's try my fog ray first. I've got my doubts about that thing over there. You and Pat stay here and watch that fog to be sure it doesn't disappear on us. Wake us up out of all this nightmare. I'll get my machine.
Gee, Mrs. Gregory, this is wonderful, isn't it?
Just like a fairy story, Jerry. And I'm so happy. I can't explain why. There isn't any real reason for it yet, but my little Joan seems so close now. For 14 years, I've never lost hope that she might be alive and well somewhere. And now... Oh, Jerry, if it could only be.
I know how you feel, Mrs. Gregory. Kind of empty one minute and full up the next. Like an elevator running up and down in your windpipe.
I couldn't have put it just that well, but that's exactly the way I feel.
Come over here, kid, and give me a hand with this thing.
Coming up, sir. Boy, that's a heavy contraption.
Captain Bradford has been working on it for years, and he expects it to do anything with fog.
Yes, it does work in fog. You know it does, Pat. Didn't we use it off San Pedro and see right through the fog? When it was so thick the pelicans were using foghorns?
I don't remember the pelicans, Tex.
No, I'll show you in a minute. Here, loosen those wing nuts there, kid.
Aye, sir. And don't you mind Mrs. Gregory, Tex. She's only kidding you because she's nervous, and she's just got to do something.
You're a sweet boy, Jerry. You do understand, don't you?
Well, I know how you feel. She's my girl, too, you know.
Will you two quit talking about something that hasn't happened yet and lend a hand here? We're about ready to try it out now. Our fog bank hasn't run away on us, has it?
Looks just like it did when we ran into it over an hour ago.
Run in the cabin, Jerry. Take this line and cut it into the power plug, will you?
You bet I will.
Oh, Tex, maybe there is an island behind that fog. The old sailor could have been right, you know. Hurry and try it.
The tubes are warming up now. They'll be ready in a second.
Is it all ready to go now, sir?
All set, Jerry, and you can be the very first to try it if you want to.
Oh, golly whiskers. Can I?
Hurry, Jerry.
Yes, ma'am. Well, what do I do?
Well, now look. Extend that telescope out as far as you can. That's right. Then get down behind it. Put your shoulder against the stock and sight it just as you would a rifle. Now, when the fog begins to open up for you, run the telescopic sight in and out till you get to focus. And you'll see the ocean on the other side of that fog.
Boy, this is sure exciting. There now. I've got my sights on the fog bank.
How's the visibility?
Can't see a thing but a gray wall.
Well, hold your sights there. I'll run this barometer for you. Hold it steady now. Tell me the minute the fog starts to break for you.
Oh, hurry, Tex, hurry.
How's that, Jerry?
No, not a thing yet.
I've run through the whole visible spectrum. Here, let me take the sights, Jerry. That ought to be about it. There, now gently back, so, and...
Have you got it?
What do you see, Tex?
Well, I guess that's that.
Oh, Tex.
4 years' work. No use. I'm sorry, Pat.
Gee, Captain Bradford, I'm sorry, too.
Well, I've been disappointed before, son.
That was about our only hope, though.
There may be something wrong with your instruments in that gadget. Can you check them?
No use, Jerry. They check themselves. When you hear that high hum the oscillator gives off, everything's working. Every single unit in that layout is connected in series. And it either works or it doesn't.
But I can't understand it, Tex. The ray worked so perfectly off the coast of California. That fog looked just like this one. Why wouldn't it work here?
Hold everything, folks. I've got an idea.
Well, there's plenty of room for it here.
You remember when we all came up forward here? When the bow was stuck right into that fog bank and the motors wouldn't move the boat either way?
Yeah?
Yes, Jerry.
We all crowded right up on the forward end, right against the rail, didn't we?
Go on, son.
What are you getting at, Jerry?
That fog was right against us. It didn't seem to blow around us a bit. But you could hear the rush of the heavy wind.
I noticed that.
Well, I didn't at the time, but I remember it now. Go on, Jerry.
Well, that fog was right against us. You could feel it. We were there for minutes and minutes. But when we got away from there, After we had been standing in the edge of a fog, our clothes were perfectly dry.
Jerry. Why, he's right, Tex. Our clothes were dry, and we did stand right in the fog.
You've hit something there, kid.
Sure. And look, Captain Bradford's fog machine worked all right off the coast of California, you said.
Well, of course. It worked perfectly, yes.
That machine will cut a path through the heaviest fog I ever saw.
But it wouldn't go through this stuff. So there's only one answer. That fog out there is not fog.
But in the middle of the ocean, it's got to be fog. What you suggest is impossible, Jerry. Why, it's fantastic.
Look at Captain Bradford's face. He was laughing at my magic island a little while ago, but he's not laughing now, is he? I tell you, there's something mysterious here. And that fog is not fog.
Rogers in the 25th century. And the shower of silver dollars from Popsicle Pete's Money Box. Together with Dr. Huer and Wilma Deering, you know, Buck Rogers has just finished exploring an amazing city deep under the earth. Exploration made possible by Dr. Huer's invention of a mechanical mole, a huge machine capable of burrowing its way through the ground. As we pick up our story now, we find them aboard the mechanical mole as it slowly but surely works its way back up toward the surface. Here we go, 500 years into the future.
All right, now, Buck, suppose you stop us again.
So soon, Doctor?
Yes, Buck.
Okay, whatever you say.
I want to check on the stratification of the ground we're going through.
To see if you can tell how near the surface we are, Doctor?
Yes, Wilma. Well, I can't do it while we're moving because of the glare from the heat ray in the nose of the machine.
If it weren't for the heat ray to melt the ground ahead of us, all the non-recoil energy in the world wouldn't move this machine.
Yeah, let me see now. I have to turn on the forward switch beam again.
You know, Buck, I still can't get over the city we found down below.
Sure. Gold and radium all over the place. As common to the people living down there as steel and impervium are to us.
Mighty fine people, too.
Well, my observations indicate that we've only a very short distance to go to reach the surface. So let's get underway again.
Sure thing you know. Anything to indicate whether we're on the same course we held on the way down?
I'm quite sure we are. Approximately, at least.
Oh, good. And we won't need to worry about coming up under any buildings.
No, I'm quite certain we'll find ourselves on the landing field of the Niagara Municipal Spaceport, the place from which we started our underground exploration.
Good. Well, here we go. That's funny. What's that about? I don't know, sir. We don't seem to be making any progress.
Something wrong with the mechanism of the mechanical mole?
No. Something seems to have barred our way.
Right.
Wait, I'll turn on the forward search beam again and see what's in front of us.
Well, Buck?
Come up to this metallic glass window and look, will you?
Sure.
Buck.
See? The nose of our mole is smack bang up against a black, shiny surface of some kind.
Oh, yes. And what can be?
Looks like regular metal of some kind, doesn't it?
Yeah. Can't be anything very big, though, or we'd have run into it on the way down.
If we're on the same path we took before.
I'm sure we are, Wilma.
Oh, wait a minute. Let's see if we can push it out of the way. Darn it, we didn't budge.
Look, that must be the impervium foundations of some big building that got buried in the ground during the Mongolian invasion years ago.
Possibly. The heat from the thermic radiation projector makes it glow like impervium, doesn't it?
No. There's a greenish tint in that glowing metal that impervium doesn't have. Now we're going to get around it, whatever it is.
You sure we can't push it out of the way?
I had full power on that last time. We didn't move an inch.
All All right, then. The only thing to do is to radio to the surface for help.
The only question is what sort of help. I know what we do.
What?
We're not far from the surface, and we have a couple of atomic disintegrators.
One disintegrator. We gave the other to Gareth in the city of Ore.
Okay, one's enough. Hey, Wilma, give me a hand.
But what are you going to do with the pressure suit?
Disintegrate a hole up to the surface, and then crawl on out through it.
No, Buck, that may be very dangerous. We know we're near the surface, but we don't know how near.
Well, that's something I'll be able to tell you all about in a few minutes.
Well, suppose a cave-in should occur while you're blasting your way through the ground.
Pressure suit will protect me.
But if you lose the one disintegrator you have, if it gets knocked out of your hand...
Now, stop worrying, Doctor. Somehow we got to get back to the ground level. We know from past experience that there's no use trying to move the mole against an obstacle like that out there, so...
All right, but be very careful every step of the way.
Sure. What I'll do is blast my way around that barrier, whatever it is, and then head as nearly straight upward as possible. The inertia and lifting unit in this uniform will keep me floating up. Then, as soon as I reach the surface, I'll take off this cast iron suit and commandeer a spaceship at the municipal spaceport.
Good. Your calculations are correct. It wouldn't be far from where you emerged.
And then what do you think you're going to do?
Well, a lot will depend on how deep this mechanical mole is lying. Only a few hundred feet, I'll swing a spaceship up into the air high enough to aim down a long-range disintegrator and blast away a big hole. Then we can float the mole up to the surface with the gravity rays.
Well, you better wait until you get up there. We'll be in touch with you by radio all along, and then will be the time to decide what should be done.
Right, sir.
Buck, I'm not going to let you go.
Huh?
It's too dangerous.
Oh, now listen, Wilma.
There's no telling what you may run into between here and the surface.
Nothing more serious than a few straight of water sand, and this pressure uniform will protect me against any possible cave-in.
Buck.
We can't stay here underground forever. Here, now, help me get into this thing.
Oh, sir, we can't stay here underground forever, Willie, so what I'm going to do is put on this spacesuit on and disintegrate my way back to the surface.
Well, I guess this machine we built for digging down into the ground isn't so good, is it, Mr. Barney?
Huh? What do you mean it ain't no good? It's just on account that we got it sort of stuck against something down here?
Well, I'll bet Dr. Ewer's machine is getting along all right.
Yeah, and this here now one's going to be all right, too. Why, I bet it's twice as big as Dr. Ewer's.
Well, that's just the trouble. It's so big.
Here, help me get onto this space helmet. And I'll be all organized out to disintegrate a big hole back to the surface.
No, sir, Mr. Barney. I'm not going to let you do it.
Huh? What are you talking about?
It's too dangerous.
Dangerous? For me? Like Barney?
Yes, sir. There's no telling what you may run into out in that ground out there.
Ain't nothing to run into except maybe a couple of layers of sandy water or watery sand or something or two.
What if the hole you disintegrate out should collapse all over you?
I won't let it. I'll use this here disintegrator with a broad beam focus.
Huh?
I mean a broad beam focus.
Oh, a broad beam focus.
Well, ain't that what I said? A broad beam... Well, that's what I'm going to use anyhow.
But what if he should run into some wild animals or something?
Wild animals?
Yes, sir.
There ain't no such thing as wild animals. They're running around in no solid ground. You know that, Willie.
Well,
if I do run into it, why, I'll just splash them all to pieces with this here now disintegrator. Won't stop to ask no questions either. I'll just let them have it. Bing. I'll shoot first and ask questions afterwards.
Oh, all right. Only what about me? What if something should happen to you?
Don't you worry, Willie. No matter what happens, I'll see that you got took care of all right.
Look, isn't there some way for us to get this big machine turned around so we can run it back up again?
No. What I'm going to do is the only thing we can do. I can't talk to you no more on account of I'm going to put on this helmet. Open up the big metal door for me so that I can go on out and start disintegrating.
All right, Mr. Barney. Only I hope you're awful careful out there, because if anything was to happen to you, I don't know what I'd do. There's a door open for you. Go ahead. I guess you can't hear me, but goodbye. And be careful. Boy, that disintegrator sure cuts into the ground, doesn't it?
That disintegrator certainly cuts into the ground out there, doesn't it, Doctor?
Yes, it does, Wilma. It's strange to hear its sound coming to us by radio, though, through a transmitter in Buck's pressure suit.
Yes.
How's it going, Buck?
Fine, Doctor.
Good.
I'm not wasting any time trying to cut through the tough material that's blocking the mole, but just making a path around it and slightly upward.
Oh, well, that's right.
This hand disintegrator certainly does a good job, too. Look out through the forward metalloglass window. By the light of it, you can see what kind of headway I'm making.
No use, Buck. The energy being released by the disintegration is in the form of heat, and all we can see is a heavy mist.
Well, at this rate, I'll be up the surface in no time. Just like cutting through so much...
Yes?
Hey, this is funny.
What?
I've come into sort of a little cave here.
It's probably a place that was washed out by underground streams.
Yes, sir, that's what it is, all right. There isn't much of a ceiling to it, so I guess I'll...
Buck.
Wait.
What is it, Buck?
Darn it, I wish I'd brought along a hand flash so I could see in here.
Why don't you come back and get one?
There's something else in this cave besides me, woman. And it's alive and moving around.
Then come back here to the mechanical mold. Buck.
No, sir. But when you hear my disintegrator, you'll know it's not just being fired into the ground.
Good night. Buck sees what I think he does. I hope he doesn't fire that disintegrator. And Barney said that if he saw anything, he'd fire first and ask questions afterward. But now stand by for a few words from your favorite announcer.
Presenting the adventures of Flash Gordon and Jungle Jim. Last week we met Jungle Jim, gentleman adventurer, down in Malaysia. With him was his faithful man, Kolu. They rescued a missionary, the Reverend Manly Chalmers, from a wildcat and were invited to stay for supper with him and his wife. While they were getting acquainted, there was a terrible crash. Kolu came running with the news that an airship of some kind had landed in the bush. Jungle Jim and the missionary, closely followed by Mrs. Chalmers and Kolu, ran to the wreck. It proved to be the spaceship containing Flash Gordon, Dale Arden, and Dr. Zarkov. After they were revived and it was found that they weren't seriously injured, Flash and Dale asked to be married by the missionary. The Reverend Chalmers declared that such a solemn step could only be taken after due deliberation and led the way back to his camp to discuss the matter. These thrilling adventures of Flash Gordon and Jungle Jim are pictured each Sunday in the Big Comic Weekly, the world's greatest pictorial supplement of humor and adventure. For Comic Weekly, each page printed in full colors is distributed everywhere as an integral part of your Hearst Sunday newspaper. And now we continue the story. Back at the camp of the Reverend Chalmers and his wife, after supper, Flash pleads his case.
You see, Reverend, Dale and I have been trying to get married for a long time.
Flash and I love each other very much, Mr. Chalmers.
I'm sure you do, Miss Arden. But as I said before, marriage is something that can't be decided in a hurry.
Excuse me, Reverend, but I did decide it in a hurry. The minute I saw Dale sitting across the aisle from me in that transcontinental plane.
And so did I, the minute I saw Flash look at me.
Excuse me for interrupting you, Reverend, but I can assure you that never have I seen such true devotion as Flash and Dale bear for each other. The sincerity of these two young people impresses me greatly, Dr. Zarkov. And what you say adds weight. I know you men of science. Truth is paramount in all things with you. Science is based on truth, Reverend. No matter who may be benefited or who may be hurt, the truth must at all times be spoken.
Well, sir, what's your verdict?
My earnest young friend, I shall be delighted to perform the ceremony which will make you as one.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chalmers.
That's mighty nice of you, sir.
Well, it isn't my party, but I'm delighted myself. This is the first jungle wedding I've witnessed, between white people, I mean.
A jungle wedding? Oh, Flash, how exciting.
It's going to be different from the ceremony we kept looking forward to in Mongo.
I don't care about anything, as long as I have you, Flash.
You darling. And as far as I'm concerned, having you is a darn sight more important than any kingdom ever created.
Oh, my dear.
Excuse me, you two. I hate to break in, but just when is the ceremony going to take place? There's a steamer leaving for the States tomorrow night.
There is?
Yep.
Then why can't we be married tomorrow noon?
You can, my dear boy. And then Mrs. Chalmers and I will escort you in our motorboat to the steamer. Won't we, Mary, dear?
Of course, Manly.
Oh, that will be wonderful.
Then tomorrow morning, Miss Arden, we'll go through the box of clothing we're taking to the mission and find a wedding outfit for you.
Find something for Dr. Zarkov and me, please, Mrs. Chalmers.
Yes, I surely need it.
Certainly.
Colo and I will build an altar for you in the middle of the jungle.
I'll gather some flowers for my bouquet.
I'll help you, Dale. We'll trim the altar Jim and Colo build.
Well, I'll set up our portable gramophone and dust off the recording of the wedding march.
Oh, Flash, isn't it gorgeous?
Not half as gorgeous as you are, Dale.
Thank you. But just think, we couldn't have an altar all trimmed in orchids if we were being married in the States.
That's only too true. Your color of gardenias is beautiful.
I thought it was when I made it. And to think all this was had just for the picking.
I wonder what that can be. Jim? Jim?
Hello?
What are those tom-toms for?
Oh, some natives having a powwow. Say, you're the prettiest bride I ever saw, Miss Arden.
Why, thank you.
For once, Dale can't use the usual feminine reply to a compliment. Oh, these things, heavens, they're old.
I could say that, and it would be true. But I'm grateful to Miss Somebody for them.
As I am to Mr. Somebody for this blue suit and bow tie. Jim, have you the ring we borrowed from Mrs. Chalmers?
Right here. Keep your shirt on.
Where's Dr. Zarkov and Mr. Chalmers?
Well, Zarkov's getting dressed. The Reverend setting the gramophone so Mrs. Chalmers can play the wedding march.
All right, Mr. Gordon. I think we're ready. You and Dr. Zarkov will come from the tent, Miss Arden, when the wedding march starts. He's waiting for you.
Well, Miss Arden, when we part again, you'll be Mrs. Flash Gordon.
I can hardly wait.
Well, I guess we can take our places at the altar, gentlemen.
It's funny, sir. This is the thing I've wanted more than anything in my life, marrying Dale. Now I'm more scared to stand in front of that altar and go through the ceremony than I ever was when I rescued her from our enemies in Mungo.
It's the solemnity of the occasion, my dear boy. Now, you and Jungle Jim stand here at my left. That's it. All ready, Mary?
Master Jim! Something's happened. I've never seen Colo so excited.
Wait a minute. Stop the gramophone, please, Mary.
Master Jim, chief of tribe here say no wedding without native wedding. He got warrior all round here.
Oh, so that's what the tom-toms mean. They saw us preparing for this. Do you mind being married a la native first, Flash? It will simplify things.
No, of course not. Dale, come here.
Here come chief to perform ceremony.
What's the matter, Flash?
The natives intend to start trouble if we don't let them marry us for the local ceremony. Do you mind going through with it?
Of course I don't. I think it's thrilling. Our wedding will really be a jungle wedding in more ways than one.
All right, Chief. Shoot. What do we do?
Weini taunga, magataga daraita, ipang pananag kanimawai pabuega, yamo nagasira, et magayen nagapa, ak marua nagapanulod.
What's he saying?
We ask Derek to make a happy union. Give good hunting, and may you have all the things you need for the rest of your lives.
Hold out hands.
What's he going to do?
Anoint Flash's forefinger with coconut oil. See? He's tracing Flash's finger from the tip to the pulse.
Apayat magayan naga balad.
That means, may your good fortune ascend.
Apayat yagamen naga lapay.
And that means, may your bad fortune descend. And now he goes from the pulse to the tip of the finger. You're next, Miss Arden.
Apayat magayan naga balad. Apayat yagamen naga lapay.
Here rice to unflash. Missy,
what do we do with these balls of rice?
The chief is making signs for you to exchange them.
Oh. Here, Dale.
And you take this one, Flash.
And now, friends, everything's okay with the chief. You're married.
Is that all there is to it?
Yes, that's all.
Why, it's terribly unimpressive.
Well, that's because it doesn't mean anything to us. Let's really be married now. Please take your places.
Come, Dale, back to the tent.
All right, Mary. Dearly beloved, we are gathered together here in the sight of God and in the face of his company to join together this man and this woman in holy matrimony, which is commended in Holy Scripture to be honorable among men and therefore not to be entered into unadvisedly or lightly. but reverently, discreetly, advisedly, and soberly in the fear of God. Into this holy estate, these two persons present come now to be joined. If any man can show just cause why they may not be lawfully joined together, let him now speak, or else hereafter forever hold his peace. Who giveth this woman to be married to this man?
I do.
Flash Gordon, wilt thou have this woman to thy wedded wife, to live together after God's ordinance in the holy estate of matrimony? Wilt thou love her, comfort her, honor and keep her, in sickness and in health, and forsaking all others, keep thee only unto her, so long as ye both shall live?
I will.
Dale Arden, wilt thou have this man to thy wedded husband, to live together after God's ordinance in the holy estate of matrimony? Wilt thou obey him and serve him, love, honor, and keep him in sickness and in health, and forsaking all others, keep thee only unto him, so long as ye both shall live?
I will.
The ring. Flash, place the ring on Dale's finger and repeat after me. With this ring, I thee wed. And with all my worldly goods, I thee endow. Let us pray. O eternal God, creator and preserver of all mankind, giver of all spiritual grace, the author of everlasting life, send thy blessing upon these thy servants, this man and this woman, whom we bless in thy name. That as Isaac and Rebekah live faithfully together, so these persons may surely perform and keep the vow and covenant betwixt them made, whereof this ring given and received is a token and pledge, and may ever remain in perfect love and peace together, and live according to thy laws. Amen. Those whom God hath joined together, let no man put asunder. For as much as Flash and Dale have consented together in holy wedlock, and have witnessed the same before God and this company, and thereto have pledged their troth, each to other, and have declared the same by giving and receiving a ring, and by joining hands, I pronounce they are man and wife. You may kiss your bride.
Dale, dearest, wife.
Flash, darling, at last I can call you husband.
This has been the most beautiful wedding I have ever seen in the field. Mrs. Gordon, allow me to wish you every happiness.
Thank you.
I don't need to tell Mr. Gordon that he is a very lucky man.
Indeed you don't, sir. Nor the happiest man in the world, for I know I am. And please accept my good wishes. You deserve the best of everything. Say, folks, I don't want to be left out. Mrs. Gordon, all happiness to you.
Thank you.
My congratulations, Flash. Thanks very much. You've been awfully kind to us, Jim. Dale and I will never forget you.
I should say not. And when you come back to the United States, you must come and see us.
Thank you, ma'am. I sure will. And speaking of the States, I don't want to hurry you, but...
Bless my soul, we'd better be getting started if you want to make the steamer. Are you all ready?
Yes, we're going with just the clothes we have on our backs, thanks to your people back home.
Come on, let's get into the motorboat.
This old Prince Albert could be a little looser, but it's very dressy looking, don't you think?
You look terribly distinguished, Dr. Zoff.
Oh, thank you, Dale. Well, since the Chalmers are taking us to the steamer, I guess there's just you and Colo to say goodbye to, Jim. Wish you were coming to see us off. Well, we might if there'd been room, but it's just as well parting now. We can say it all here. And Colo and I better be getting back to that camp of ours, if there's any camp left.
You're right, Boss Jim. Maybe river pirates set fire camp while we're gone.
Flash, hurry. We're waiting.
Coming, dear. Well, so long, Jim. Thanks for everything. That's okay, Flash. Good luck to you. Goodbye, Colo.
Goodbye, Tuan Flash.
Hurry up, Flash. Goodbye. Goodbye.
There go Mission Tuan boat. Downriver against sun.
Yes, Colo. There goes Mission Tuan's boat. You know, Flash Gordon's a great fellow. Maybe we'll see him again sometime. Well, I wonder what's going to happen to us next, Colo.
Be sure and be with us next week at this same time for the beginning of a long series of thrilling adventures with Jungle Jim. Each week, the Comic Weekly, distributed everywhere with the Hearst Sunday newspapers, reproduces Jungle Jim in full-color action pictures. Get acquainted with this sterling adventurer and with Colo, his man Friday. See pictured for you by a famous artist all the leading characters as well as the natives, the wild animals, and the many queer forms of vegetation in the steaming jungle which forms the background to these thrilling adventures way down at the southernmost tip of Asia. Then, of course, you don't want to miss next Sunday's colored poster stamps. These wonderful poster stamps appear exclusively in the Comic Weekly and are drawn by famous artists especially for you. The official album of the Poster Stamps Collectors Club is available at stores everywhere. So if you haven't yet started your collection, be sure and get the Comic Weekly with next Sunday's Hearst newspaper and become an active participant in young America's newest and most popular educational hobby. And now, goodbye until next week, when we will be back with a thrilling adventure story of Jungle Jim.
The Super Delicious Cereal presents The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman. And today it would seem that the crescent and star found in Sidney's apartment is linked with some strange mystery. We'll learn more about it in a moment. But right now, let's join Dan McCullough and his young pal Eddie, who has an idea he wants to try out.
Hey, Dan, I thought your cousin Doris was coming, too.
Why, she's coming, Eddie.
Here I am, Eddie. What do you want?
I want to try something out on you and Dan. It's a game we're going to play at a party tomorrow, and I want to see if it works all right.
Okay, Eddie, shoot.
Well, this is like our regular treasure hunt game, only you're hunting for one of those comic buttons from packages of Kellogg's Pep.
I see.
Now, the clue I'll give you tells you where the funny paper character might be hiding, and that's where the button is.
Oh, that ought to be easy.
Okay, here's the first clue. You ready?
Ready.
I have paws, not wings, so I hide under things.
Paws, not wings. Oh, I know. That's Sandy, old from Annie's Store.
Right.
Under things. That could mean under the sofa.
Right, Doris. Find the button?
Yes, here it is. Can I keep it?
Sorry, but it's part of my collection. We're just trying this game out. Now,
you can't buy them anywhere, and you don't send in any money. Don't have to spend any of your allowance. Why, you don't even have to send in a box stop. But inside every package of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep, there's an exciting prize. One of these nifty new comic buttons or a military insignia or warplane button. Tell Mom you'll eat lots of P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now, the adventures of Superman.
Although the Atom Man is no more, Superman is still in great danger because two pieces of kryptonite, the amazing element which robs him of his strength and which gave the Atom Man his deadly power, are in the hands of unknown enemies. In his guise of Clark Kent, Superman and Jimmy Olsen searched the apartment of the now-dead mysterious fat man known as Sidney, who had been the Atom Man's ally. When Jimmy found a strange metal coin bearing an odd symbol, Kent remembered something he had seen in Sidney's country house and left the apartment to make a phone call. A few moments later, a swarthy, dark-skinned man entered the apartment from the fire escape. Drawing a long knife, he slipped noiselessly up behind Jimmy, who was searching a dresser in the bedroom. As we continue now, a faint sound has caused Jimmy to raise his head. The mirror reflects the man behind him, and shouting wildly, the boy reporter leaps sidewise as the knife plunges into the dresser top.
Hey, what?
Be quiet.
For a moment, an Arab entered through a window and tried to stab Jimmy. Kent returned in time to subdue the man, who refused to answer questions, and later in a detention cell at police headquarters committed suicide. As we continue now in the cell where the Arab's body lies on a bunk, his bare feet protruding from under a sheet, Kent is pointing out a startling discovery. Listen.
Inspector, Jim, look.
What is it, Kent?
Look at the bottom of this man's heel. Right there, see? Great Jupiter. He's been branded.
Yeah, with a crescent and star. Jeepers, the same designs on the coin we found in Sidney's apartment.
Right, Jim, and on the piece of notepaper I found in Sidney's country house. Well, Inspector, do you still think this Arab had no connection with Sidney?
You win, Kent.
Yeah, but who is he? And who is Sidney? Or who was he really, I mean? And what does the crescent and star mean?
Those are all $64 questions, Jim.
Well, we can come pretty close to guessing two of the answers, though.
Go ahead, Kent. Your guesses have been pretty good so far.
Well, we know Sidney wasn't the respectable businessman he pretended to be. Secretly, he joined up with the Atom Man, the greatest single menace civilization has ever known, and the Scarlet Widow, the most dangerous woman in the world. That means he was not only a dishonest character, but a very important one.
Check. Go on.
It's my idea that Sidney was the leader of a powerful secret organization, and that this crescent and star is its symbol or code sign, whatever you want to call it.
Say, that could be it. They used the crescent and star for identification purposes.
Right.
But why should members of the same organization have to be identified to each other?
Well, this is only a guess, you know, but we know Sidney was very clever and very careful.
Yeah?
Well, the chances are his identity was not known to all the members of his organization. I mean, the small fry, the hired gunmen, such as this Arab probably was, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So, when he had to see one of them, he identified himself by the coin we found in his apartment.
Oh, and they were branded on the heel. Jeepers, then... Look, Inspector, all you have to do is round up all the crooks in Metropolis, find out which ones have this brand on their heel, and
have them lead us to their head man, who will tell us where the Scarlet Widow and the two pieces of kryptonite are, huh?
Well, sure. But you gotta do it quick, before whoever has the kryptonite can create another Atom Man, or something even worse.
Well, I'm afraid it isn't that easy, Jim.
I'll say it isn't. If Kent's right, and Sidney did control a secret organization, the chances are the members aren't known crooks, any more than Sidney or this Arab was. So far, we haven't been able to find a police record for him.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Well, then what are we going to do? We've got to find the Scarlet Widow.
You don't have to tell me that. We're doing everything we can to trace her, and to trace Sidney's past connections. And I'm going to do everything possible to identify this Arab and follow that clue. I don't know what else we can do. Do you, Kent?
I know what I'm going to do.
What's that?
What are you going to do, Mr. Kent?
I'll tell you on the way. Come on. We've got to move fast.
Leaving police headquarters, Kent and Jimmy hurry back to the Daily Planet, where Kent leads the way to the desk of Harry Goldman, the thin, bespectacled feature editor.
Say, Harry, you got the largest fund of miscellaneous information locked up in that head of yours of anyone I know. I'd like to tap it.
Fire away, Pappy.
Okay. I made a copy of a certain design I'm curious about. Here it is. Tell me what you make of it, will you?
It's a crescent and a star, Mr. Goldman.
So I see. What do you want to know?
Well, first, have you ever heard of any secret society or club or any other organization using that symbol?
No, I can't say that I have.
Oh, shucks.
Just a minute, Jim. Does it have any significance at all to you, Harry?
Well, the crescent is commonly used in heraldry.
Uh-huh.
In modern coats of arms, it indicates the second son of a noble house. Does that help you?
Gosh, no.
Anything else?
Let's see. The crescent is also the military and religious symbol of the Ottoman Turks.
The Turks?
Yes. Alauddin, I think it was, the Seljuk Sultan of Iconium in the 13th century, adopted the crescent as a device. And it appeared on the janissaries of the Sultan Orkan in the following century.
Leaping lizards. What kind of double talk is that?
Wait a minute. A great many Turks are Muslims, and so are the Arabs.
Huh? Oh, you mean the Arab we caught in Sidney's apartment. I don't get it.
Now you're giving out with double talk.
I was just wondering if this organization we're trying to trace could be Muslim.
Gosh, you mean we've got to go to the Sahara Desert and get bumped to pieces on those camels again?
Look, before you buy your plane tickets, you better hear me out. I've been telling you about the crescent only. This design you have here has a star, too.
Oh? You mean...
A star sometimes appears with a Turkish crescent, just as a cross might. But there's nothing distinctly Turkish or Muslim in the combination.
Oh, there isn't? Then where are we?
No place, I'm afraid. Unless Harry can come up with something else.
I don't know, Kent. Wait. In architecture, a crescent indicates a street which follows the arc of a circle. How about that?
Gosh, this guy's a human encyclopedia.
Circular street, eh? That's interesting. What about the star?
Forgot about that. The star doesn't fit there either.
Well, then that's that. Well, thanks very much, Harry.
Not at all. Sorry I couldn't help you.
I'm starting to think nobody can.
We're not licked yet, Jim. Come on. See you, Harry.
Thanks, Mr. Goldman.
So long.
Golly, we're not getting anywhere, Mr. Kent. In any minute, whoever has those two pieces of kryptonite might... Gee whiz.
Now, don't get the jitters.
Well, how can I help it? I think there might be another Atom Man. Gosh, the first one almost killed Superman.
I know, but... Uh-oh, of course.
Of course what?
Never mind. Sit down, Jim.
Sit down.
Yes, this is your desk, isn't it? I've got to take the next step alone.
Without me? Oh, nothing
Now, don't
doing.
argue, Jim. Every second counts. I've got to get help, and I can't take you along.
Oh, why can't you? What help?
There's just one man who might be able to follow the Crescent and Star and find the Scarlet Widow.
There is? Well, you mean Superman?
No, somebody else. But I've got to see him alone. Look, you tell the Chief and Lois what happened and not to worry if I'm away for a while.
Oh, where are you going? Who is this man?
I can't tell you. So long, Jim. See you later.
Oh, wait, why can't you tell me? Why can't I go along?
Sorry, I've got to handle this alone. So long, Jim.
Bursting with curiosity, Jimmy Olsen watches Clark Kent stride swiftly from the city room. Who is the mysterious man Kent says is the only one who can lead him to the Scarlet Widow? We'll return in a moment to find out. But first, here again is your announcer.
You know, gang, it's just like having pictures of your favorite friends collecting those swell new comic buttons from packages of Kellogg's Pep. Because every single button has a picture of a favorite comic strip character straight from the funny papers, in full brilliant colors, too. So they show up like anything when you pin them on your jacket or your dress or cap. But the best part is, you don't have to send in any money to get these new comic buttons, not even a box top. You can't buy them anywhere. Just ask Mom to get you some of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Then see which prize you find inside. One of these exciting new comic buttons, or a military insignia or warplane button. Remember, that's P-E-P, Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now back to the adventures of Superman.
Telling Jimmy Olsen that only one man might be able to follow the strange symbol of the Crescent and Star and find the Scarlet Widow, Clark Kent left the Daily Planet and drove across town to a fashionable residential district. Parking in front of a handsome brick house in which he knew, as Superman, that Batman and his young companion Robin lived under their true names of Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson, he crossed the well-kept lawn and rang the doorbell. As we continue now, Bruce Wayne, wearing a gray tweed suit, is opening the door.
Yes? Hello, Batman.
What did you call me?
Oh, I'm sorry. I mean, Wayne.
Who are you?
What? Oh, of course. I'm Clark Kent, reporter for the Daily Planet.
Well, come inside.
Thanks.
Come into the library, please.
Yes, certainly. Listen, I need your help very badly.
Sit down.
Thanks. Now, look, Wayne.
Why did you call me Batman?
Why, I don't know. I guess I've got Batman on my mind. I need his help desperately, and I came here to ask you to help me contact him.
What makes you think I can contact him?
Well,
why? Stop hemming and hawing, Kent. Give it to me straight.
Okay, I will. I understood from Superman that you can get hold of Batman.
I don't believe you.
What? Well, now, look here. I don't lie.
If you expect me to believe that Superman told you to contact Batman through me, you're wasting your time. I'll show you to the door.
No, wait. This is urgent, terribly urgent. I must see Batman.
I once heard that someone who needed him badly put an ad in the newspapers. And he happened to see it. Why don't you try that?
It's too late to make the evening editions, and I can't wait until tomorrow. This is a matter of life and death for me, for Superman.
For Superman? Are you kidding?
No, I'm not. Now, how can I get you to believe me?
There's just one way, Kent.
What's that?
Come clean.
What do you mean?
You know what I mean. Tell me why you think I can contact Batman.
Well, I told you.
You said Superman told you I could.
Yes?
And I said I didn't believe you. Now, tell me the truth, Kent. Or I'm sorry, I'll have to ask you to leave.
Oh, what'll I do? You're the only person who can help me, the only one.
I'm waiting, Kent.
I know, but I don't know what to do. I don't know. I need your help. I've got to have it, but I don't know what to tell you or how.
Torn with indecision, Clark Kent hesitates, unable to make up his mind whether or not to reveal his most cherished secret, the secret he has guarded with his very life, that he is Superman. But unless he does reveal his true identity, he may lose the cooperation of Batman. And only Batman, he feels, can help him trace the clue of the Crescent and Star, locate the Scarlet Widow, and get possession of the 2 pieces of deadly kryptonite. What decision will Kent make? Don't miss tomorrow's exciting episode, fellows and girls. It's full of surprises and thrills. So tune in, same time, same station, for the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday. Same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications. Want to hear a scoop? A big scoop of Kellogg news? Well, listen to this. Kellogg's Variety is back. Yes, Kellogg's have scooped 6 of their most famous cereals into this grand variety carton. One carton containing 10 separate, generous-sized packages. So now it's easier for Mom. She just gets Kellogg's Variety, and everybody at the breakfast table can eat his favorite cereal fresh from its own box. Makes breakfast more fun than a picnic. Ask Mom right away to get Kellogg's Variety. It's swell, no fooling. And be sure to be with us tomorrow for the thrilling adventures of Superman. This is the Mutual Broadcast. Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman. And today the Man of Steel is faced with a decision, the most difficult he has ever had to make. We'll join him at the home of the famous Batman in just a moment. But right now, here's a word from Dan McCullough.
You know, it's getting so that whenever 2 or more kids get together, all they talk about is their collections of comic buttons from packages of Kellogg's Pep. First, there's the business of showing how many you've collected, and then there's trading duplicates to add to your collection. Here's how that works. Suppose you have 2 buttons with Superman on them, and your friend has 2 Moon Mullins buttons. Well, you swap your extra Superman for his extra Moon Mullins, and then you each have a different button to add to your collection. Fun? Why, I'll say so. And these buttons are all so doggone smart-looking that, well, you get a great kick out of wearing them pinned on your jacket or your dress or cap for everybody to see. They're bright-colored as can be, brilliant blue and red and black on a gleaming white background, and they're just about as big around as a nickel. Now, here's how you get these swell buttons. Just ask Mom to get you plenty of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. That's all there is to it. You don't send in either money or a box top. You can't even buy these comic buttons anywhere. All you do is to look inside the Pep package for your prize, an exciting new comic button or a military insignia or warplane button. Ask Mom for P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now, the adventures of Superman.
Although the Atom Man is dead, Superman is still in mortal danger. 2 pieces of kryptonite, the rare element which gave the Atom Man his deadly atomic power, are in the hands of unknown enemies. Aware that Sidney, the late ally of the Atom Man, had been in contact with the Scarlet Widow, who had stolen the original kryptonite fragment, Superman searched Sidney's apartment and found a strange coin engraved with a crescent moon and star. The same symbol was later found branded on the heel of a dead Arab who had been in the apartment. Hoping that the famous Batman could help him, Superman, in his guise of Clark Kent, visited the house where Batman and his young companion Robin reside under their true names of Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson. But when Kent asked Wayne to contact Batman, Wayne became suspicious. As we continue now in his library, Bruce Wayne, alias Batman, and Clark Kent, alias Superman, face one another. Listen.
You might just as well come clean, Kent. What makes you think I can contact Batman?
I told you.
You said Superman said I could.
Yes?
And I said I didn't believe you. Now, tell me the truth, or I'm sorry, I'll have to ask you to leave.
Well, it's just... All right, Wayne. All right, I'll tell you. I'm going to reveal a secret which no one else in the world knows, but which many would pay millions to know.
Oh, this sounds very interesting.
It is. I've guarded this secret with my very life. But now, not only my own life is at stake, but all civilization. I need Batman's help desperately. So I'm going to take you into my confidence and trust you never to betray me.
You're giving the secret quite a build-up. What is it?
It's this. You see, Wayne, I...
Yes?
I am Superman.
What?
Yes. Yes, I, Clark Kent, am Superman.
Well, what do you know? Superman, unmasked at last, huh? You didn't get hit on the head by a brick or something on the way here, did you?
Oh, apparently you don't believe me.
Let's just say I'm skeptical.
Well, then I'll prove it to you. Here, I wear my costume under my street clothes. There we are. Now, off with my glasses like this.
Say, you do look like Superman.
Naturally, because I am.
Well, now you sound like him, too.
Naturally again. Well, are you satisfied, Wayne?
No, of course not. A good actor can impersonate almost anyone, and costumes are easy to get.
Oh, I see. Well, then I'll prove it by...
No, hold on. Let me give you some tests.
Just in case I've arranged some hocus-pocus with mirrors and what have you, eh?
Maybe. Now, look, Superman has X-ray vision, right?
Right. I can see through anything but lead.
Okay. Tell me what I have in my right trousers pocket.
Oh, that's easy. A bunch of keys, 2 quarters. Let's see now. Their dates are 1906 and the other one's upside down. 1917.
2 quarters, all right. What did you say their dates were?
1906 and 1917. Right?
Yes.
Are you satisfied now?
Not quite. You might have... don't misunderstand me, but you might...
I might be a sleight of hand artist and slip those coins into your pocket, eh?
I didn't say that.
But you meant it. All right, what's your next step? Let's work fast. My business is urgent.
This won't take long if you are Superman. Come over here, will you?
Certainly. What'll it be?
Wait till I open this window. There we are. Now, just one more test. And if you pass it, I'll believe you're Superman.
Shoot.
See that flagpole at the rear of my lawn?
Yes?
It's 60 feet high. Let's see you place this quarter on top of it and return here within 3 seconds. Or should we call the whole thing off?
Are you kidding? Step aside, please.
Okay.
Now watch closely. Out and away! Well, do I pass, teacher?
You certainly do. I hope you'll forgive all this waste of time.
Don't apologize. I don't blame you at all. Batman.
What? Then you did know who I was all the time.
Of course. Can't you guess how?
Why, sure. Your X-ray vision saw through my mask and hood that last time we worked together. So that when you saw me today as Bruce Wayne, you recognized me at once.
That's right. And what's more...
Well, dust me off and polish my shoes. Superman.
Hello, Robin. Dick.
Oh, you know who he is, too.
Uh-huh. What do you mean he knows who I am, too?
Superman is onto us, Dick.
What? You mean he knows you...
He knows I'm Batman.
Christopher Columbus.
Oh, but that's fair enough. He's told me his other identity.
What? No kidding. Who is he?
I'm afraid that'll have to remain a secret for the time being, Robin. And now, Superman, you said you needed my help.
I certainly do. The Atom Man is dead, but...
thanks to you.
Make those thanks for 2.
Well, I was lucky. He could have finished me if he'd listened to Sidney and stayed with me, keeping me helpless under the influence of the kryptonite in his blood until I starved to death.
Listen, is it true this kryptonite has the Indian sign on you?
Yes, Robin, it has. It's a fragment of the former planet Krypton where I was born. But here in the atmosphere of Earth, for some strange chemical reason, I get weak when it's brought within 10 feet of me.
Gee whiz.
Go on, Superman.
Well, that's the first reason I need your help. Because I can't get near the kryptonite. And there are 2 pieces of the original fragment still in existence, in the hands of our enemies. Now, listen closely while I tell you everything that's happened so far.
Speaking swiftly, but omitting no detail, Superman brings Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson, who are in reality Batman and Robin, up to date on the story of the kryptonite. He tells them of the Scarlet Widow and the mysterious Sidney, the late advisor of the Atom Man, of the strange coin found in Sidney's apartment, engraved with the symbol of a crescent and star, and of the dead Arab with the same cryptic symbol branded on his right heel.
And that's why I have every reason to believe that Sidney was one of the leaders of a powerful secret organization using the symbol of a crescent and star. The Scarlet Widow either belongs to the organization or she has contact with it.
And by tracing the organization, you think we can locate the Scarlet Widow and force her to tell us to whom she sold the last 2 pieces of kryptonite. Is that it?
Right. You see, I know you and Robin have a wide knowledge of the underworld. You've fought the big crooks and the hangers-on for years. It's my hunch that somewhere among them we'll pick up a clue to the people we want. Now, of course, it's a dangerous mission I'm asking you to undertake.
I'm used to danger. You can count on me to do everything I can.
I knew I could. Thanks, Lois.
And count me in, too. I'll blow those bugles and beat those drums. Where do we go from here, Batman?
I know exactly where we're going. And right now...
I'm listening.
I'll tell you on the way. I'll contact you later, Superman, perhaps even tonight.
You sure you don't want me to go along with you?
No, I think Robin and I can do this job better alone.
All right, but call on me if you need me. You, know how to contact me?
You bet I do. 5 o'clock. We've got a lot to do and just 1 hour to do it in. So long, Superman.
So long and good luck. You don't mind if I use this window to leave by, do you?
Help yourself.
Righto. Out and away!
Phew, look at him go.
We're going places ourselves. Come on.
Lead the way, Pappy, and just try to lose me.
Followed by the eager Dick Grayson, Bruce Wayne hurries from his house and enters his Batmobile car. We'll rejoin them in a moment for the exciting climax of today's episode. But first, here again is your announcer.
Say, gang, I know a certain young lady who's mighty fond of her bigger, older brother, but she says there never were enough games she and her brother could share in until Kellogg's Pep began putting out those swell new comic buttons. Now they have a lot of fun comparing notes on how many each is collected and swapping duplicates, too. Yes, sir, both fellows and girls are having a load of fun with these new comic buttons. I've seen a lot of caps and jackets and dresses with the buttons pinned right on them. And do they look smart? So bright-colored and shiny that, well, they show up like anything. You know, every single one of these new comic buttons has a true-to-life picture of one of your favorite comic strip characters. So you'll want to collect all 18 of them. You can, too, easy as pie. Just ask Mom to get you a good supply of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. That's the only way you can get these new comic buttons. You don't send in any money, not even a box stop. You can't even buy them anywhere. But inside every package of Pep, there's an exciting prize. One of these brilliant new comic buttons, or a military insignia or warplane button. Get your prize, gang, from P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now, back to the adventures of Superman.
On the trail of the two pieces of kryptonite, Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson, who in reality are the famous Batman and Robin, made a brief call at police headquarters and then drove to the shabby waterfront district. Before leaving their car, they disguised themselves as ragged, seedy individuals. And now, caps pulled low over their eyes, they are lounging against some rotting pilings at the street end of a long pier. It is early evening, but the fog swirling in from the harbor shrouds the street lamps to pale yellowish blurs.
Maybe I'm dumber than usual tonight, Batman, but I don't get it. Why do we want to see a no-good rat like Squealy Evers?
It's simple, Robin. He knows what's cooking in every dirty pot in Metropolis. And for a price, he'll talk.
Oh, you figure he might know something about the Stone Crescent, huh?
Not so loud. Yes.
But Squealy's so crooked he puts a corkscrew to shame. How can we trust him?
We're not going to trust him. We're just going to request a little information.
Something tells me we'll get a knife in the back.
Stop worrying. Makes wrinkles.
That's the way I want to die, old and wrinkled.
Scared, Mr. Grayson?
No, not scared. I just got a yen to see the sun come up tomorrow.
It will come up.
Sure, but I want to see it.
But not, here he comes.
Oh.
Squealy, of course, and right on time. He always makes this beat around 6 o'clock.
What if he sees through these rags and catches on who we are?
Quiet now, here he is. There's Squealy.
Huh?
Hello, Squealy.
Yeah? What do you want?
A little information.
Who are you?
Oh, my name's George Robinson.
I'm his brother Jack. You know, quick.
Cut it out.
You a cop?
No, but I've got $200.
Let's see it.
Here it is. Nice and fresh. Mustn't touch.
Pretty little cabbage leaves, aren't they, Squealy?
What do you want to know? Whatever you can tell us. About this coin.
What the Crescent and Star. Where'd you get this?
What's the difference? What do you know about it? For $200. Can you help us?
Yeah, I can help you.
You can?
Yeah, I can help you a lot.
All right, Squealy. Start talking.
Eagerly, Batman and Robin wait for the stooped, ferret-faced man to speak as the gray fog swirls around them. What will he tell them? And will it lead our friends to the mysterious organization they seek? And to the missing kryptonite? Monday's episode is tense and exciting, fellows and girls, so don't miss it. Tune in, same time, same station, as Batman and Robin combine with the Man of Steel to stave off the greatest threat ever directed at the world in the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday. Same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications. Say, gang, get a load of this. Kellogg's Variety is back. That's the famous variety carton of 6 swell Kellogg cereals in 10 separate packages. Makes breakfast more fun than a picnic. With Kellogg's Variety on the table, you can choose among Kellogg's Rice Krispies, Pep, Corn Flakes, Shredded Wheat Crumbles, and Bran Flakes. Simply help yourself to your favorite. Each box holds a fresh, crisp heaping portion. So ask Mom to get Kellogg's Variety right away. And be sure to be with us on Monday for the thrilling adventures of Superman. And remember, it's Pearl Harbor Day, and buy victory bonds. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
tired of the everyday routine? Ever dream of a life of romantic adventure? Want to get away from it all?
We offer you Escape. Escape, transcribed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
You are standing on the rolling deck of a pirate junk in the China seas, and facing you is the sinister figure of the most feared man in the Orient, a general who has just doomed you to death.
Today, with Bill Conrad, starred as O'Hara, we escape to China and the gripping story of pirate treasure, as Charles Booth told it in his fascinating novel, The General Died at Dawn.
Yeah, China was spitting me out like a cherry pit. I was sitting that afternoon on a bench in the strip of park that fronts the harbor of Shanghai, and all I had in my pocket was an English shilling, and it was counterfeit. Well, I sat there and stared at a ship in her berth at the Asia-Pacific docks. She was a crack liner named Pearl of the Orient, due to sail at 11 the following morning, Europe-bound, by way of Suez. Well, bitterness, a counterfeit English shilling, a need for physical action. All of a sudden, they melted into each other and bubbled into an idea. I left the harbor and made my way to Frenchtown, to a narrow street of 2- and 3-story buildings, and into one of them, and up a shabby stair and along a dim corridor to a door with Mark Ramsgate printed on it in gold letters. Ramsgate, I've come for the 1,500 you owe me.
Would you mind shutting the DOOR? There's a simply killing draft.
The 1,500, Ramsgate, I want it now.
Aren't you the persistent one, though? Now, where was it you say you advanced me this huge sum of money?
Chungking 4 years ago.
Oh, yes, Chungking. I was in a nasty mess with the police, and you simply flew to my aid as a fellow American. Isn't that it? Delicious. But too fantastic.
Start counting out the money, Ramsgate.
Will you listen to the man? I'm a private investigator, Mr. O'Hara, not a banker or a missionary.
I am not the most patient man on the China coast, Ramsgate.
Mr. O'Hara, can you crack a walnut between your forefinger and thumb? I can. You see? Would you mind leaving now? I've scads of things to do.
What's this?
Careful. That's Ming.
Oh?
Yes. Gorgeous, isn't it? I use it for a goldfish bowl.
It's empty.
I didn't feed them. They lasted 6 days.
Well, if you have no goldfish, you don't need the bowl.
I'll smash you for that.
I can be smashed. Try it. He was strong and very fast, and he wore an enormous ring, which was damaging whenever he landed a punch. But he'd lost his coolness, his best asset, really. And it didn't last very long.
Do you treat all your visitors like that, Mr. Ramsgate?
Huh? Oh. Hello. Come in. Shut the door. Have a seat, Miss...
Mrs. Mallory.
Irene Mallory?
Why, yes. May we speak privately, Mr. Ramsgate?
Well, my friend on the floor is fast asleep. What can I do for you?
I came to ask you to locate someone for me. A man here in Shanghai. There's a job to be done, and he's the one for it.
Oh? What's his name?
O'Hara. Gerald O'Hara. Do you know him?
Yes. Who sent you to me?
Papa Conti.
Oh?
O'Hara was at the Hotel Conti this morning, broke, and told Papa he expected to collect some money from a man named Ramsgate. Has he been here?
He's been here. I can find him for you, but it's going to be expensive. My fee will be $1,500.
Mm-hmm. 5 and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here you are.
Thank you.
Please work very quickly. very quickly.
Is there anything I can tell him concerning the job for which he is the one?
Yes. Tell him it involves General Yang, Yang's business agent, and $500,000 in gold. I'll be waiting at the Hotel Conti, Mr. Ramsgate.
All right.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Huh?
You play the loveliest hand of poker, Mr. O'Hara. Got the 1,500 you came for, didn't you?
Well, you bounced back fast. How much did you hear, Ramsgate?
That's for me to know, you to find out.
I will.
Good afternoon, Mr. O'Hara. Good afternoon. Would you mind closing the D-double...
Door. Well, I had what I came for, all right. I would argue the ethics of it with myself when the planks of the Pearl of the Orient were beneath my feet. And I was on my way to an atmosphere that didn't rot a man's brain with the dampness of things dead and done. I turned into Nanking Road and stopped in front of the Asia Pacific office. In the plate glass window, the Gerald O'Hara who'd helped build the Trans-Siberian Railroad, who'd gone after ivory and rubies and gold. That Gerald O'Hara took a look at the Gerald O'Hara who'd rooked Irene Mallory out of $1,500. And then I hailed a rickshaw and told the boy to take me to the Hotel Pierre Conti.
Ah, Gerald, my friend. Ça marche?
Ça marche, Papa Conti, ça marche. Do me a favor. Will you have Mrs. Mallory paged and brought here and let me use this office for a few minutes?
But of course. Hello. The front desk? Who? You Mallory Conyo Laigo. Saji Lau.
Papa, about the money I owe you, I thought I'd have it for you today, but my lead blew up. I'm sorry.
He is sorry. We have known each other all these years. You bear the scar of a knife that was meant for me, and you expect me to press you for money? Huh? Gerald.
Well, it's a bill, and it's got to be paid.
Then let me worry about it. There's no point in us both worrying, huh? Oh, that will be Mrs. Mallory. There's cognac on the desk. Visitor for you, my friend. See you later, Gerald.
Good evening, Mr. O'Hara.
Oh, I suppose Conti told you who I was.
No, I recognized you this afternoon.
Oh. Here's the money you gave me.
Oh?
Do you know what the odds were when you handed it to me of your ever seeing me again? I was ready to cut my best friend's throat for the price of a ticket west.
Wouldn't you prefer to leave with a good bit more than that?
Oh, the $500,000 you mentioned?
Yes. Would you, care to hear about it?
Well, perhaps care is too strong a word, but I'll listen.
There's a man named George Martell registered here. He's General Yang's business agent. Do you know him?
Your eyes are lovely. I like your eyes.
Yang had $500,000 worth of gold bars here in Shanghai. Can you guess why he kept his funds in bullion?
Well, it'd be hard to abscond with almost half a ton of gold.
And Martell has been converting that into American dollars for some time now. But there are two things he doesn't know. Yang is aware of what he's doing, learned about it last week. And Yang will be here in Shanghai tonight.
Well, Yang enjoys a good deal of tolerance in this city, but he's still an outlaw with a price on his head. He has no legal recourse.
He's got thumbscrews and jackboots. Don't you see what I'm getting at? Martell's life isn't worth a grain of rice once Yang arrives.
Yang's here now.
What?
He's here now. I saw Sergeant Wong, his ADC, dressed as a coolie down at the docks this morning.
All the better. Unless Martell shares the money with us, we won't help him escape from Shanghai. You could arrange a way out for him, couldn't you?
Oh, yes, I know ways, but I'm not the man for the job, Mrs. Mallory. I'm as empty as a sucked egg. I'm tired, very tired. I just want to crawl out of Asia. I'm sorry.
No pride?
None.
Certain?
Positive.
Not even enough to resent that? Or this?
Why, you little...
You're hurting my wrist, O'Hara.
Come here to me. Where's Martell now?
In the bar. Then he goes to dinner. That's his routine.
You know his room number?
Yes.
Well, lead me to it. Was that the last valise in the closet?
Yes.
Well, we know now that Martel doesn't keep the money in his room.
That would have been too obvious.
No, never be deceived by the obvious, my dear. The techniques of hiding and finding haven't changed since Poe stated them in the purloined letter. Our next move...
Someone's coming down the hall.
No, out with the light.
What the hell?
Shh. Behind the screen. What perfume do you use? It's marvelous.
Well, oh, what a heavenly room you have, Mr. Martel. My, no company.
Get to the point, Mr. Ramsgate. What is it you wanted to speak to me about?
General Yang, the Shanghai Fund, and what you intend to do with them.
Have you been prying into my affairs?
Just an old busybody, aren't
Ramsgate.
I? Don't try for a gun. Just don't.
What is it you want?
All the money you have.
And the alternative?
I'll tell Yang of the naughty thing you've done.
Mr. Ramsgate, I beg you.
No. Either give me the money or be prepared to face Yang and tell...
O'Hara.
Hello, George. Irene, see if Ramsgate has a gun.
Okay.
George, have you met Mrs. Mallory?
O'Hara.
Here's the gun.
Oh, good. Now see if George has one. Easy, George.
Here it is.
All right, now put it in your purse. George, you know me, don't you? I mean, you know me.
Yes, I know you, O'Hara.
Were you going to accept Ramsgate's offer?
I think that
Wouldn't have done you any good. Yang has a price on your head right now, didn't you know? Oh, yes. Ramsgate would have taken your money and turned you over to Yang anyway.
Well, I thought that I'd be able to think of some scheme while Yang was on his way.
On his way? Yang's in Shanghai right now.
No.
Look, now, here's our proposition. 1/3 apiece to each of us, and I'll help you escape.
1/3?
To each of us, 1/3 to you. You better take it, George.
Well...
But tomorrow morning, Yang will have blocked every exit from Shanghai you could think of. You need us, George. And you know I always fulfill my end of the contract.
Help me, O'Hara. Help me, please.
You accept? Yes. Good. Now, where's the money? I want it in my hand before I so much as make a move in your favor.
Please. It's not here. In the hotel, I mean. It's in the safe in my office in the Rue Montalverne.
Well, let's go after it, George. Let's go after it. We left the Hotel Conti. I hailed a taxi, and George gave the driver the address. It was just past the dinner hour, and the night traffic was thickening. Across the harbor, I could see the lights of the Pearl of the Orient. Tomorrow morning, I thought to myself. Tomorrow morning, I'd be on deck, taking a last long look at China, with a fortune in my pocket. Irene followed my glance and then smiled up at me and squeezed my arm. You ever been to France, Irene?
Yes.
You know the stretch along the coast of Normandy between Honfleur and Trouville?
No.
I'd like to show it to you sometime.
I'd like to see it sometime.
Good. We got out at the shabby end of the Rue Montalverne. Martel was trembling so violently that I had to take the key from his hand and open the door myself. Easy, George. Now, just take it easy.
I'm in a bloody blue funk, O'Hara.
Yeah, we know the feeling, George. Now, where's the money?
It's in the safe. Small valise in the safe.
Oh, get it.
You really can get me out of Shanghai?
Look at me, George. I really can, can't I?
Right. Now then, left 22.
You know, there's a drink they drink in Normandy called Calvados, a brandy. Did you ever taste it?
No.
Really? Vast horizons will soon open for you, I think.
There we are.
Have you got it?
Yep.
Here, I'll take it.
Okay.
Now, where's the key? The bag's locked.
Oh, right here. Well, I always carry it. O'Hara.
What?
Face at the window.
Oh, the light.
Shoot, O'Hara!
Well, I don't think I hit anything. Let's get back to the hotel. The street was deserted as we left Martel's office. I expected almost anything, but nothing happened. Nothing at all, except that I slipped on the broken glass scattered about the sidewalk and almost broke my neck. And we took a taxi back to the Hotel Conti. No, we won't go to your room, George. Irene, we'll hole up in yours.
Do you think we're safe here?
Well, it's relative. We're safer in the Conti than any other place else in Shanghai. Not that that's saying much. At least we have an ally here, Papa Conti himself. In you go, George.
Thanks.
Now, Irene, here's the money. Don't let this valise out of your sight for a moment. Take the gun out of your purse now. You know how to handle it?
Some.
Sit down, George.
Yeah.
No, not on the chair. Sit on the floor, facing the wall. Now, look, Irene, you've got a double job. Keep George and the money in and everyone else out.
Understood.
O'Hara, you're not going.
Well, I have to arrange your exit. Do you expect me to do it by telegram? Oh, that reminds me. I'll need that 1,500 of yours again. How much do you weigh?
118.
Delicious.
Here's the 1,500.
You'll be repaid out of George's end of the cut. Well, I'll be going now. I'll be back in about, 3 hours at the latest. Lock the door after me. I'll see you soon.
Take care of yourself, O'Hara.
Right. I wish I could think of something entirely reassuring, but all I can come up with is this. I think we've got a 50-50 chance of making it. They'll tell you Shanghai is the coldest-blooded, most cynical city in the world. Has none of the charm of Paris, nor the comfort of London, nor the youth of New York. As I made my roundabout way to the docks, past the food shops and the dens and the coffin makers and the honky-tonk joints, I suddenly no longer cared about that. I felt vaguely excited and eager for the next moment. And then finally, I found the man I was looking for after a tour of the bars. He was a big, bearded Swede named Nelson, the owner and captain of an old bum freighter. And after an hour or so of negotiation, we had it straight. He'd have a taxi driven by himself, parked near the alley 2 blocks from the Conti, ready to pick Martel up at dawn and carry him to the ship. 1,500 down and another 15,000 from Martel when he was safe on deck. And that was that. I was back at the hotel by 2:30. Irene, it's O'Hara. Irene! I put my ear to the door and listened. Nothing. I grasped the knob to shake it, and the door swung open. The lights were on, and the room looked as though a tornado had gone roaring through. Bureau drawers open, clothes flung out, luggage slashed. And Martel lay upon the bed, staring at the ceiling, his face ripped badly, his hands and legs tied tightly. I walked over and put my fingers to his neck. He was dead. A small valise lay next to him on the pillow. It was open and empty. Made my way to the bathroom. Irene!
O'Hara!
Turn off that water.
I was trying to stop the bleeding.
Give me the towel. Now come on in the other room. What's happened?
I don't know. A couple of hours after you left, there was a light knock at the door, and a voice that sounded like yours said, "Open the door."
Yeah?
Well, don't look at me like that. It was time for you to be back, and I had the gun. I opened the door just a crack, and suddenly a hand appeared, and it turned out the light, and that's all. When I came to, it was the way it is in there, and I had a bump on my head.
The money's gone.
I know.
Have any idea who did it?
No, none. It could have been anybody.
Could have been you.
O'Hara.
Why not? You had the chance, and as you say, you had the gun. It could have been you.
Yes, and it could have been you, but I don't think it was.
Connect me with Mr. Conti, please.
O'Hara.
Hello, Papa Conti. This is O'Hara. Look, will you come to Mrs. Mallory's room immediately, please? Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Well, I want to speak to Papa Conti. He's probably the wisest man in Shanghai.
Do you think I did it?
I didn't say you did. I said it could have been you, and it could have, too. But I want to talk to Conti. There are things that bother me about the whole deal. I connect it in some way with slipping on the broken glass in front of George's office and George being beaten to death. Now, why should anyone have done that? The money was there and George was tied securely. Why beat him? And something about George's having to depend on me for a getaway. I always considered him a very cautious and careful man. He had the money. Surely he would have planned his own escape long before I ever... Well, that's probably Conti. I'll get it.
Gentlemen, it is I.
Come in, Papa.
Good morning, Mr. O'Hara.
Ramsey.
Get inside, Papa Conti. All clear, General. O'Hara.
Hello, Yang.
You, Ramsgate, close the door. All righty. See if O'Hara is on. Pleasure. I have it, General. So, the dog is dead.
And the bone is buried.
Oh, I will find the bone.
Well, first you must find the other dog.
Perhaps I'm looking at him.
Try to prove it.
If you do not kill Martel, why have you not sent for the police?
Shall I telephone them now?
O'Hara, what would you do if you were in my position?
Well, I'd search the luggage and personal property of all of those here. Then if I didn't find the money, I'd question us, all of us, including Ramsgate. And if I didn't find what I was looking for, I'd make my apologies and look elsewhere.
It is good advice. I'll accept it. Conte, you have a baggage truck in your garage. Go outside. Give the key to Sergeant Wong. And no tricks, Conte. My men are at every entrance and every floor. Ramsgate.
Yes, General.
Go with Conte. Tell Sam Fu to take a squad of men, pick all the baggage belonging to Mrs. Mallory and Papa Conte and George Martel. Bring it to my headquarters. Tell them to take also Martel's body.
Yes, General. Come along, Conte.
O'Hara, you and Mrs. Mallory will come with me.
Where to?
To the pier of Yin Louis and Company on Suzhou Creek.
And then?
To my Shanghai headquarters. The Lao Ping, a seagoing junket, lies in the anchorage. Come, O'Hara. Come.
It's almost 4 o'clock. How long do you intend to keep us aboard, Yang?
The money is neither upon your person nor among your belongings. I must now persuade you to talk. Will you do so willingly?
And if we do not?
I will turn you over to my bodyguard. You have heard of them?
Who hasn't?
What have you heard?
Oh, something about your destiny being their destiny and their lives being your lives, and that they would do anything under heaven that you commanded.
That is correct. Will you talk, O'Hara?
Look, General, I know nothing of Martel's death or the location of the money, as I've already told you.
Mrs. Mallory.
I can't add anything to what I've already said.
Nor can I.
Martel has been silent. Pity.
General, aren't you going to ask Ramsgate?
Ask me? Why? Well, the General and I understand each other thoroughly. Don't we, General? It was I who told the General where to find you all. Didn't I, General? What could he possibly ask me?
Well, during the past hour, I thought of one or two things he might ask you. Yang, you've noticed the cuts on Martel's face.
Noticed them now?
Have you noticed the cuts on mine?
They are alike.
And have you noticed the ring Ramsgate wears?
General, Excellency, there's a conspiracy to injure me in your eyes.
Let me see the ring. Let me see it.
Excellency.
Still flecked with blood. You killed a dog.
Yes, Excellency, I did, but only to avenge you. Only to avenge you.
Where is the money?
I don't know. I swear I don't know.
You lie.
No. When I opened the valise the woman was guarding, it was empty. It was empty. No. Oh, General. General, don't touch me. Don't touch me!
Yang, look out, he has a knife.
Oh, God. Excellency, no, I didn't mean to... No, don't shoot. Oh, Excellency, don't shoot! Wong!
O'Hara, what is he ordering him to do?
Something about killing us.
O'Hara!
Shh. Yang, this is the thing I never expected to see. A man of destiny stabbed by a fat fool while his bodyguard, his loyal bodyguard of 12, stands by and watches.
You'll find it amusing. And before I die, you and your friends will be dead. Can you laugh at that also?
Perhaps, but not as much as all China will laugh at Yang's loss of face. China will laugh for centuries to come at the story of how Yang was killed while his devoted bodyguard lived.
China will not laugh at Yang. My bodyguard will not live. They will have shot one another.
At whose command?
At my command. It will be their will also. They have lost face too, and unbearably can they continue to live.
No one will believe that your bodyguard, foolish enough to let you be stabbed, would obey a command to kill themselves. Your name will be a laughing stock.
No.
They will joke about you in the tea houses.
No.
Your sons will die of shame.
No.
And why? Because 12 dead fools with rifles in their hands will be all that you have to speak for you.
No, you lie. You lie. I will show you. What thing? See how they line up facing each other, 6 to 6.
They face each other, but they do not aim at each other.
You see how they take aim at each other, O'Hara.
They take aim at each other, Yang, but they do not fire.
They will. They will when I command. Now watch, and you will see a thing to make you marvel. To marvel again whenever you remember Yang. Kai Po! Was Yang not right? Was he not right?
This is it. Goodbye, Papa Conte.
Goodbye, Gerald, and much good luck. And to you also, Mrs. Mallory.
Thank you, Papa Conte. I'll send you a piece of the wedding cake.
Do that, yes?
Thanks for everything. I'll repay you the loan as soon as I can.
Of course, of course. Gerald and Mrs. Mallory, could you stand a rather bitter joke upon yourselves?
No? What's that?
About the money you two sought. A letter came for George Martel this morning. It is from a brokerage firm here in Shanghai. It says, Dear George, this is to confirm our conversation of this morning. Unless you can raise $40,000 additional margin, we will be forced to sell you out. We regret doing this to so good a customer, especially in the light of the $500,000 loss you suffered these last 2 months. But business is, etc., yours sincerely. You understand, Gerald?
Yes, I thought it might be something like that. That's why he didn't arrange for his own escape. Each day he expected to recoup his losses.
And he tricked us in his office on the Rue Montalverne. He didn't want us to learn the valise was empty, and so he pretended to have seen that face at the window.
Yeah, that's right. And then when we put out the lights, he must have thrown something through the glass, a paperweight or the like. Now, that's what puzzled me about the broken glass. It was on the sidewalk and not in the room.
It was also why Ramsgate killed him. He couldn't make Ramsgate believe his story.
Yeah. Papa Conte, may I have the letter? I'd like it for a souvenir.
Oh, but of course.
Thank you.
Well, au revoir, Gerald. Au revoir, ma belle. I wave to you from the shore.
Goodbye. Goodbye, Papa.
No regrets, O'Hara?
Regrets? None. No regrets for the past, and no doubts for the future.
Escape is produced and directed by Norman MacDonald. Today we have presented transcribed The General Died at Dawn by Charles Booth, adapted for radio by Walter Newman, with editorial supervision by John Dunkel. Starred as O'Hara was Bill Conrad. Featured in the cast were Estelle Dodge, Larry Dobkin, Ben Wright, John Daner, Jack Crucian, and Peter Prouse. Special music was arranged and played by Ivan Ditmars. Next week, we escape with the unusual story, The Great Impersonation, by E. Phillips Oppenheim. Be sure to tune in at the same time next week, when once again we offer you Escape. The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet are now heard every Sunday night on most of these same CBS stations, just before the Jack Benny Show. This is Roy Rowan speaking. Now, stay tuned for 5 minutes of the latest news and the Let's Pretend program, which follow immediately over most of these same CBS network stations. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Tired of the everyday routine? Ever dream of a life of romantic adventure? You want to get away from it all?
We offer you Escape. Escape, transcribed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
It is September of 1939. The Germans are about to march into Poland, and you are standing in the English manor house with a complete list of Nazi agents in your possession. While facing you, guns drawn, are three people who, to get that list, would gladly kill you.
Today, with Ben Wright starred as Sir Everard Dominey, we bring you an exciting story of super espionage, as E. Phillips Oppenheim told it in his fascinating novel, The Great Impersonation.
Incredible. Von Ragenstein, this is incredible. He is drunk?
Dead drunk. He is seldom otherwise.
Hold the light closer to the cut so I can see it better.
Here.
Truly incredible, von Ragenstein. You and he are as alike as... Well, I would swear it was you lying here on the cot.
Yeah.
Hair, nose, mouth, everything like a smudged and smeared portrait of yourself. Identical features.
And we have the same color eyes, and there's not an inch of difference in our height.
Where did you find him?
Oh, he staggered into camp 3 days ago. He had been hunting lion upriver until his boys deserted him. He had not paid them in several months, I gathered. I sent a runner to fetch you at once.
That is something I shall have to report to Berlin as a serious breach of discipline von Ragenstein. You were to avoid all contact with me except through the usual channels.
But, Dr. Schmidt, may I...
Permit me to finish. Obedience to orders is as necessary in the Secret Service as it is in any other branch of the German army.
I understand.
I have spent 20 years here in Tanganyika, establishing myself as a harmless old archaeologist. During that time, I have created an espionage organization second to none, right under the noses of the English. And not once have they suspected me. Is all that to be ruined because you choose to engage in a little frolic of your own?
This was not a frolic. Sir, I weighed the risk very carefully and considered it worthwhile. I believe you will agree with me when I tell you that this man is Sir Everard Dominey, an English baronet, and that we attended Oxford together. Shall I continue?
Yes, continue, von Ragenstein.
He is a ne'er-do-well. He lives on a small sum that comes to him each month from his estate in Norfolk. He has been here in Africa almost as long as I. 11 years. Oh, but I could go on for hours. I know as much about him as he does himself. And I've been thinking
that you could go to England as Sir Everard Dominey, and no one there would be the wiser.
Dr. Schmidt, a German agent in England, operating at the highest social level.
Would be invaluable, I agree. But
what, sir?
The proposal raises 3 questions in my mind.
So?
What about the assignment upon which you are engaged here?
A certain flexibility is necessary in these matters.
And how will Dr. Goebbels feel about your leaving Africa?
Surely by this time he has either forgiven me or forgotten the entire incident.
You don't know the little doctor if you think that. When someone steals away one of his women, as you did, what was her name?
Stephanie Strom.
Yeah, as you did, Stephanie Strom. He never forgets and never forgives. But I will undertake the responsibility for initiating your plan. Prepare to leave for England at once. You will receive further orders before you embark.
Thank you, sir.
I must go now. There are many arrangements to be made.
Sir, you said that there were 3 questions raised in your mind.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering what to do with this Englishman. Kill him as soon as possible and dispose of his body. Good luck, von Ragenstein.
Heil Hitler. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Heil Hitler. That night, a new Sir Everard Domine was born, and Leopold Ragenstein vanished from the face of the earth. Dr. Schmidt's arrangements were most thorough, and I arrived in London less than a month later.
Mr. Mencken will see you now, sir.
Thank you.
My dear Sir Everard, a most unexpected pleasure. Dear me, how changed you are, and how well you look.
Credit Africa, Mr. Mangan. A wonderful country.
It's done wonders for you. Dear me. Are you thinking of settling down here for a time?
Well, that depends a little upon what you have to tell me.
Oh, yes. Yes, of course. Regarding the matter of Roger Unthank, nothing has been heard of him since the day you left England. His body has never been found.
And, my wife?
Her ladyship's condition is, I believe, unchanged. She is in excellent physical health, but mentally...
She still swears to take my life if I sleep under the same roof as she is? I may very likely settle down at Domine Hall.
Oh, I'm afraid the estate is still not in very good condition. All those debts you left behind.
Quite, yes. The business object of my visit to you is to ask you to make arrangements as quickly as possible for the paying off of the mortgages of the Domine estates.
What?
I've been making a good deal of money in Africa.
Great Scott. A Domine making money. In the 40 years I've managed the Domine interests, I've never known that to happen. Dear, I can hardly believe it.
Well, have lunch with me, Mr. Mangan, and I'll tell you something of my speculations in Africa.
Why, thank you, Sir Everard.
My knowledge of restaurants in London is a bit dated.
May I suggest the Carlton?
Oh, excellent.
Give me your hat, Sir Everard. I shall check it. I'll be with you now.
All right, I'll wait for you right here.
Leopold, why didn't you let me know you're in England? Leopold, how happy I am.
I think you're making a mistake. My name is not Leopold.
Darling, do you deny knowing me?
Madam, I do not have the pleasure. My name is Domine. Everard Domine.
I don't Leopold, my address is 17 Belgrave Square. Come there at 7 this evening.
But, my dear
I
lady...
shall expect you at 7.
Here we are.
7 sharp.
Dear me, Sir Everard, wasn't that Stephanie Strome?
Well, I don't know. She mistook me for someone else.
Oh, she's a marvelous actress. Marvelous. I saw her in Macbeth last month. And a table for two.
Yes, sir. This way, please.
She played Lady Macbeth, you know. And in that scene...
Oh, excuse me one moment, Mr. Mangan. Seaman, my dear fellow, how are you?
Everard, what a surprise.
May I introduce my friend and legal advisor, Mr. Mangan? Mr. Mangan, Mr. Seaman.
How do you do?
Seaman and I were business associates in Africa. Will you join us at lunch, Seaman?
Thank you, but I cannot. Where are you staying, Everard?
At my estate in Norfolk, near Flankmere. I'm driving there this evening.
Why, I have to be in Norfolk on business tomorrow.
Be my guest, will you?
Thank you, Everard. Thank you. Good day, Mr. Mangan.
Good day, sir. Now, as I was saying, what was I saying?
You were about to ask me if I cared for a drink, and I was about to say yes, a scotch and soda.
Oh, yes. The same for me.
Yes, sir.
Sir Everard, do you think it wise to return to Domine Hall before Lady Domine has been prepared for it?
Mr. Mangan, does she really regard me still as the murderer of Roger Unthank?
The mystery has never been solved. It's well known that you two fought that night and that you staggered home almost senseless. Roger Unthank has never been seen since.
If I'd killed him, why wasn't his body found?
Oh, there are many theories and quite a few superstitions. You may as well be prepared for one of them. There's not a soul for miles around Domine Hall who doesn't believe the ghost of Roger Unthank still haunts the Black Wood near where you fought.
But that's incredible.
Yes, I would agree. Except that from time to time, it has been heard shrieking and sobbing.
Oh, come
Sir Everard, I have heard it myself.
Tired, Mr. Mangan?
Just a bit. We shall be there in a few minutes. I telephoned before we left London that they have rooms ready for us.
Any of the old servants still left?
Oh, none. Every servant and caretaker we've had there has given notice within a month. At least a dozen swore that they had seen the ghost of Roger Unthank and heard his call at night. That's the sole reason why I haven't recommended long ago that you should get rid of Mrs. Unthank.
Oh, she is still in attendance upon Lady Dominic?
We couldn't get anyone else to stay there. And her ladyship absolutely declines to leave the hall. Through that gate, Sir Everard.
Yes, I remember. Oh, some of the old wall is down, I see.
That wall has been down, to my knowledge, for 30 years.
Of course. I'd forgotten.
We've kept the old place weathertight, and I don't think you will miss the timber we were forced to sell.
Oh. Any from the Blackwood?
Not a twig. Not one of the woodmen would ever go near the place.
You and I will take a look at the Blackwood in the morning.
Well, if you insist, Sir Everard. How does it feel to be at home after all these years?
I feel as though this is my first visit.
Good evening, Mrs. Unthank.
There's no place in this house for you, Everard Daubeny. No place here for murderer.
Really, my good
Can
woman.
you face me, Everard Daubeny? You who murdered my son and made a madwoman of your wife.
Mrs. Unthank, return to your duties at once and understand that this house is mine to enter or leave when I choose.
And you will treat Sir Everard with respect. Have rooms been prepared for us?
You will be in the West Wing, Mr. Mangan. And the Oak Room has been prepared for Sir Everard. You mentioned respect, Mr. Mangan. If he stays here against my bidding, perhaps her ladyship will show him what respect means. Good night.
Oh, dear. My dear Sir Everard, I'm dreadfully sorry that...
Oh, that's quite all right. Quite all right. Well, I think I'll turn in immediately. We'll make the rounds of the estate after breakfast.
Sir Everard, are you really going to sleep in the Oak Room?
Yes. Why?
Have you forgotten? It's next to her ladyship's. And...
No, I have not forgotten. Good night, Mr. Mangan. I do not know how long I had been asleep when I felt the thin, cold pressure against my throat. I opened my eyes and I saw a hand, a small, slim hand in the moonlight just beneath my chin.
If you move, you will die. Remain still. I wish to look at you.
Rose.
You are very brave to have come here. Braver than I remembered.
Why do you wish to kill me?
Doesn't it say somewhere? A life for a life. You killed Roger Unthank. Last night his spirit called to me below my window. No. Don't move. Let me look at you, my husband. The strange thing to own after all these years. A husband.
What do you see?
You're wonderfully changed. Better looking.
I have changed, Rose. And I've come back a rich man. I shall bring some wonderful doctors here, and they'll make you quite strong and well again.
I've been wondering why I don't kill you ever, as I've sworn to. I know now. I know why I don't.
Why, Rose?
Because I've just realized you aren't Everard at all. Yes, that's why. You needn't fear ever that I shall kill you, because you're not Everard at all.
I spent the most of the next day going over the estate with Mangan, and when he left for London in the afternoon, he carried with him my cheque for £90,000 to settle the mortgage on Domney. And soon after his departure, Seaman arrived.
And it was very good of you to have invited me.
Oh, come into the library. How was your trip here?
Oh, very pleasant. Very pleasant. The countryside is lovely this time of year, and, how did it go, Leopold?
Well, I think Mengen accepted me completely as Everard Domini. And if I say so myself, I think that I have made a very convincing transformation into an English country gentleman. Of course, it's been uncommonly expensive. Yeah. Every penny you gave me when we met at Cape Town is gone to pay off the mortgage of Sir Everard's... excuse me, on my estate.
Well, we could not have you return home to a poverty-stricken domain. You'd have held no place whatsoever in English social life and no welcome from those with whom we desired you to stand well. Now, there is no bottom to our purse in these matters, and more will be deposited to your account.
From my African investments?
Yeah, from your African investments. So, all has gone smoothly?
Yeah, all except for one thing.
Oh?
Stephanie Strom met me by chance in a restaurant yesterday. She recognized me at once, of course, and seemed quite piqued when I denied knowing her. She demanded I called upon her at her home yesterday evening.
Well?
Has it occurred to you that she has claims upon Leopold von Ragerstein which would altogether interfere with the career of Everard Domini? Our relationship before I left Germany was fairly well known. And if we are seen together now, someone might put two and two together and...
Yeah, you're right, of course. I'll see what I can do.
It will not be easy. Stephanie is extremely strong-willed and impetuous.
She will do as she is told. See? Anything else?
No.
Good. Now listen very carefully. I have instructions for you.
I am listening.
We move upon Poland in September. Now, if England declares war, it will, of course, render espionage work here extremely difficult in two major respects.
Yeah,
one, the English will redouble security precautions, and two, it will be almost impossible to bring in money with which to pay our agents in this country. It is with the second difficulty that you will be concerned. Your function will be that of paymaster.
Go on.
Now, from now until September, £3 million will be given to you.
To whom do I disperse this money?
The day we begin to conquer Poland, written instructions together with a list of all our agents here and in Ireland will be placed in your hands.
Understood.
So until then, live the life of Sir Everard Domini, Baronet. So I will visit you from time to time to keep you abreast of events. So goodbye for the present, Leopold. I have a million things to do. Oh, and good luck in your impersonation.
Thank you. I think I shall need it.
In just a moment, we will return to Escape. But first, 6 years after the last battle of the American Revolution, the people of America were in the midst of a great debate, whether to vote for or against the Constitution. Here is what Governor Clinton said to the people of New York in 1787. Your fate and that of your posterity depends on your present conduct. Do not give them reason to curse you, and do not give yourselves cause to be blamed. As individuals, you are ambitious to leave behind you a good name, and to your children a fair political inheritance. Yes, the men who framed the Constitution did so not only for themselves, but for the future. We today are that future.
And now, with our star, Ben Wright, as von Ragerstein, and Sir Everard Domini, we return to the second act of Escape and the Great Impersonation.
I followed Simon's instructions to the letter and pursued exactly the course I thought Sir Everard Domini himself would be likely to take. I put Lady Domini in the hands of a Dr. Harrison, the psychiatrist. I pensioned Mrs. Anthenkoff, but to my surprise, she remained in the vicinity. I began to entertain upon a lavish scale, shooting parties, hunts, dinners, and dances. Unavoidably, Stephanie appeared among my guests from time to time. It was evident from her manner that Simon had spoken to her concerning me, and quite forcibly. It was also evident that she did not like it. I could see her patience wearing thinner and thinner. And one Friday to Monday, as I was walking through the garden after breakfast...
I wish to speak to you alone.
So my guests will be...
Your guests are well occupied. And in any case, I'm one of them.
What is it, Stephanie?
Leopold, can it be you've lost your love for me? You've changed so much and in so many ways.
Stephanie, I thought it had been impressed upon you. I am not Leopold, but Everard Domini, an Englishman and the owner of this house and the husband of Lady Domini.
I can almost believe you are an Englishman. You stand there cold and aloof as one. You whose tears have fallen upon my hat, whose lips...
You speak of one who is dead.
What has changed you like this? What has dried up all the passion in you?
Careful, Stephanie. Someone is coming. Yes, what is it, Parkins?
Beg pardon, sir, but Lady Domini has returned.
Oh, thank you, Parkins. Stephanie, will you excuse me?
Leopold, something has just occurred to me, and I shall not see you, or rather, trouble you for a while. I'm going to take a sea voyage.
A sea voyage? Where?
To Africa, Leopold. To Africa.
May I see my wife, Dr. Harrison? This evening, perhaps. It's been a fatiguing journey for her, and I would prefer her to rest as much as possible.
How is she?
Well, except for one hallucination, she's in perfect health.
And this one hallucination?
That you're not her husband. It's not within my power to dispel this hallucination. You are the one to do it. That's why I brought her home.
What can I do, Doctor?
She needs warmth and affection, Everard.
I see. I'm very grateful to you, Doctor. I shall do everything I can to complete her recovery.
Thank you.
Yes?
It's I, Rose. May I come in?
Yes, I will.
Rose, I couldn't go to sleep before welcoming you home.
Thank you, Everett, dear. That makes me very happy.
You're looking well and extremely lovely.
I am well. All the foolishness is gone. I know that whatever happened to poor Roger, it was not you who killed him. I know that I never really heard his ghost call to me. It was my imagination. I can't think why I ever wanted to hurt you. I'm sure I love you.
Then why do you doubt that I am your husband?
You're so like me, yet so unlike him. His daddy died in Africa.
Then who am I, Rose?
I don't know. But you're kind to me. And when you're near, I'm happy.
Rose, look at me. I am Everard. I am. Can't you see?
It's Roger. He's calling me. Everett, I do hear it, don't I? It's not just in my head.
Rose.
Let me go. I must wave to him from the window. He never rests until I wave to him from the window. Please.
Rose, if you love me, do one great favor for me. Do not go to the window. Don't wave.
I must wave. I can't stand his cry. It's
Rose,
just...
as you love me, please.
Oh. All right, Everett. I'll do as you say, but hurry, please, hurry.
I ran out of her suite and down the stairs. Parkins was standing in the entrance to Domini Hall, a heavy walking stick in his hand. I told him to follow me, and we hurried through the garden. And there, beneath Rose's window, I saw a dark shape. Slowly now, Parkins. Slowly and quietly. Parkins, help me. Come on, your stick. Oh, well done, Parkins. Do you have a match?
Yes, sir.
Well, strike it, man, strike it.
Oh, very good.
Hi. Take a look. And who is it?
It's Roger Unfank.
Telephone the hospital in Plankner to send an ambulance for him at once.
Right. Roger! Oh, you've killed him. You've killed my son.
He's not dead, Mrs. Unfank. Though he deserves to be.
His jealousy drove him mad.
If
Now
Lady
you've done this
Domini
to him.
recovers, I will forgive both you and your son for this revolting hoax. If she does not, I wish you both the blackest corner of hell. Rose had received a great shock that night, but as the summer wore on, she began to mend, and Dr. Harrison told me toward the end of August that he had every hope for her complete recovery. Meanwhile, the drift toward war quickened, and on the morning of the 1st of September, the German army smashed its way across the border into Poland. Seaman telephoned me that morning to inform me that he would be at Domini Hall that evening for a business conference. And about 9 o'clock, he arrived.
Mr. Seaman is here, sir.
Thank you, Perkins. Oh, hello, Seaman.
Oh, have you heard the terrible news, Everard? Have you heard the wonderful news, Leopold? Our army is simply leaping ahead.
I know. I have been listening to the wireless.
We have to work quickly, very quickly. I must be in Ireland by tomorrow morning. Here, take these.
What is it?
These are microfilms, no larger than postage stamps. They contain your orders and the list of all our agents in these islands. Now, Leopold, the fate of our espionage service here is now in your hands.
Yeah, I understand. Good. And speaking of precaution, as you stooped to sit down just now, I distinctly saw the shape of your revolver in your hip pocket.
Oh?
Do you think it is wise to be carrying firearms about just now?
Oh, yeah, quite right. Here, take care of it for me. Quick, get the films out of sight.
Into this drawer.
Yes? What is it? Sorry to disturb you, sir, but Miss Strom is here and she...
insists upon seeing you.
Stephanie. Thank you, Perkins. That will be all.
Yes, sir.
Stephanie, I did not know you had returned from Africa.
This afternoon, and I've brought a visitor with me. Now tell me, Dr. Schmidt, who is this man? Leopold or the Englishman?
Why, he is the Englishman.
What have you done with Leopold? What have you done with him?
He met with the fate he prepared for me. His body sleeps on the bed of the Ruma River.
I don't understand. You came to me at Cape Town. You had all von Hagerstein's letters. You know his history.
We exchanged the most intimate confidences in his camp. The letters and papers I took from him.
And the money, the 3 million pounds?
If the German Secret Service wishes to formulate a claim and sue us...
What are you? You two, lumps of earth, clods. You let this Englishman stand.
The lists. He has the lists of agents.
Yes, and they should prove of great interest to His Majesty's government.
Do something. We are 3 against 1.
Seaman! Back, Doctor. Not another step or I'll shoot.
Seaman!
Grab him! Get back, Seaman!
No, don't shoot! Don't shoot! No, please, don't shoot!
Yes, Rod?
Telephone the military barracks at Norwich. Ask them to send a car and a strong escort immediately.
Yes, sir.
And then, Parkins, come back here and see what my guests will have.
We're going now, Sir Everard.
How is she?
She's well. She's entirely well. But see for yourself.
Everard.
Oh, Rose, my darling.
Oh, my dearest. There were times when I couldn't believe you were my Everard. And now...
Now
I know.
Escape is produced and directed by Norman MacDonald. Today we have presented transcribed The Great Impersonation by E. Phillips Oppenheim, adapted for radio by Walter Newman, with editorial supervision by John Dunkel. Starred as Sir Everard Dominey was Ben Wright, with Gene Bates, John Daner, Gabriel Windsor, Ted Von Eltz, Edgar Barrier, Ann Morrison, Parley Bear, and Ramsey Hill.
Escape has come to you through the worldwide facilities of the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
Nestle's Ever-Ready, the instant cocoa. Nestle's Quick for great chocolate milk. And Nestle's chocolate bars present Space Patrol! High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol. In today's transcribed Space Patrol adventure, Buzz and Happy have just rescued two men from a damaged space freighter. Right now, in their spaces, they're helping the two men through the airlock into the Space Patrol ship.
Close the hatch, Hap. Yes, sir. We can raise our face pieces now.
The cadet will take you back aft, man. Thanks. I think you'd better hold it. Right. I've got something in this box that'll make it feel better.
First aid kit, huh?
Not quite. And if you don't get your hands up, you'll need more than first aid.
Commander, it's a blast gun.
We're taking over the ship. All you do as you're told, and you stay alive.
We'll return in just a moment with today's exciting Space Patrol adventure, The Voice from the Future. It's hot stuff.
What's hot stuff?
Nestle's Ever-Ready Cocoa.
That's hot stuff.
That's what I said. Nestle's Ever-Ready Cocoa is hot stuff.
So what are we arguing about?
I have stopped mixing me up. There's no argument about Nestle's Ever-Ready because everybody agrees it makes the most wonderful cup of hot chocolate in the universe.
You said a mouthful, Captain Two-Feld. Nestle's makes such a rich, chocolatey, delicious hot chocolate, it's out of this world. And there's no mixing up either because Nestle's Ever-Ready practically makes itself.
That's right. All you do is put 1, 2, 3 teaspoons of Nestle's Ever-Ready in your cup. You add hot water, and it's made.
You don't have to add milk or sugar, because Nestle's is complete.
Yes, Nestle's has rich, whole milk and sugar already in it.
And you know something? What I like best about Nestle's is that sensational Nestle's flavor. There's nothing quite like it. It's real chocolatey, too. A terrific treat any time of day or night.
Glad you mentioned that, Hap, because we always recommend hot chocolate made with Nestle's for a breakfast warm-up. But we also like to see Space Patrollers drink it at all their meals and snacks, too.
Now, what did you say was the name of this product?
Oh, Hap, you're kidding me again. You know it couldn't be anything but Nestle's Ever-Ready Cocoa.
In the bright red can. That's Nestle's. And it's hot stuff.
And now, today's Space Patrol adventure, The Voice from the Future. Commander Corey and Cadet Happy have just arrived at the lunar fleet base on the Earth's moon. They're on a mission so secret that not even Happy knows the purpose of their rapid space flight from Terra to the solar system's most closely guarded test base. Right now, in an office reserved for the commander at the lunar fleet base, Buzz slides open a large metal cabinet revealing a panel covered with a maze of instruments, control levers, gauges, and switches.
There you are, Hap. What do you think?
Wow, it's wonderful. A model of a rocket cockpit.
Mm-hmm. It's a mock-up of the control section of a new rocket ship.
You don't mean the new star drive job? The big hush-hush operation?
That's it. Project Infinity has been completed. Or it will be as soon as we make a test.
Project Infinity. So that's what the code name stands for. The new star drive patrol ships. Well, when do we blast off?
The engineers are making the final inspection now. Rather than get in their way, I thought I'd give you a special briefing on this model.
Oh, that's sure needed. It looks different from the star drive control we've been using.
Yes, now, this is a multi-purpose ship. It can be used for regular patrols in our solar system as well as for interstellar travel.
Oh, this cockpit has got everything. Viewscope, spaceophone, decoders, hyperspace computers.
Yes, anti-gravity controls and ultra-sensitive radiation indicators. We're prepared for almost anything you'll encounter, anywhere in space.
I see. I just noticed there's atomic cannon controls. How far are we going to test this flight, Commander?
To Alpha Centauri, a little over 4 light years away.
One thing I've been wondering about, though, why all this secrecy? We don't have to worry about any trouble from Toronto anymore.
No, we can't be sure that some of the solar system doesn't have spies here in the United States.
Uh-oh. Something's happened that I haven't heard about. I can tell by your tones, sir.
Yes, sir. There's already been an attempt to steal the hyperspace drive designs. Fortunately, the attempt was foiled. We don't know whether the thief is from one of our planets or from another solar system.
Well, maybe some Terranian spies are still here and don't know that their attack plans are all washed up.
Whoever's responsible, we can't afford to take chances. Let's go over this rocket cockpit model in detail, and we'll be ready for the real test.
Elsewhere in the office of the Red Star Space Lines in Lowell City on the planet Mars, Rourke Dexter leans back in his chair and stares dreamily at the huge space chart on the wall. Behind Dexter, the door opens, and Nate Soren shambles in and settles his huge frame in the only remaining chair.
Something wrong, sir? There's something wrong, he says. I just made my last flight for Red Star. I'm out of a job. And working for Red Star is no recommendation. You'll be lucky to get a job shipping paint.
Trouble with you, Soren, is you're always looking on the dark side of things.
What other side is there? Things are as black as... What was that space chart? Look, there goes the last ship. When it sets down at Jupiter City, that light will blink out. You will be operations chief of a grounded fleet.
Those old traitors have served their purpose.
They sure have, Buster, and so have you. I just hope you made a fortune out of hijacking cargo from other outfits. You're going to have to live on it for a long time.
Soren, how would you like to continue working for me?
Doing what?
The only thing you know, spaceship.
Ha.
We're going back into the shipping business.
Under a different name, I suppose. That's nice. The Space Patrol will get on to us in no time.
It wouldn't do them any good. You'll never be able to catch them.
You crazy? They caught us before, didn't they? That's why we're both out of a job, remember?
Soren, listen. We're going to have an interstellar ship with star drive. We make our deliveries through hyperspace.
I know you're crazy.
Am I? Listen to this. Corey's going to test one of those new star drive ships. He's at the lunar fleet base right now.
I'll have to find that out.
I have very good sources of information. I almost got a copy of the designs of the new rocket cockpit. When my agent failed, I got the idea of stealing the ship itself. It's much better. It saves us the time and expense of building one of our own.
What's my cut?
25% of our profit. And that's pretty good for a pilot. And you don't take the risk you did under the old setup.
All of a sudden, this is beginning to make sense.
Of course. And as I say, there's no risk. Once you got into hyperspace, the Space Patrol can never trail you.
The big question now is, how do we get that new ship away from the Space Patrol?
I've got it all figured out. The test vector is supposed to be top secret. But I picked up a little information.
Meantime, back at the Lunar Fleet Base, Buzz and Happy are in the rocket cockpit of a new star drive ship, all set to blast off.
Corey aboard test ship SD-1 calling Lunar Space Control.
Space Control Luna here, Commander.
Request space lock clearance for immediate blast off.
Space lock number 3, ready as ordered.
Space lock 3 confirmed. Corey out. Set magnetic compensator for space lock 3, huh?
Yes, sir.
5 seconds. 3 seconds. Fire rocket. Hold it at this rate till we're beyond the Jupiter orbit. Then we'll increase to attain star drive velocity near Neptune.
Uh-oh. Commander, the U-boat is a spaceship. It's like a cargo ship, sir. What's it doing clear out here?
That seems to be in free fall. I don't see any rockets flying.
What do we do? Change vector?
All the trouble we took to make a nice private test, some old hawk wanders around. Yes, Hap, we'll give them a wide berth. 5 starboard bunkers.
Yes, sir.
Cargo ship JF-307 calling Space Patrol. Emergency.
Emergency? Is that him?
Get a space phone fixed before the answer.
Cargo ship JF-307 calling Space Patrol ship now 10 TUs off our starboard. Emergency.
Yes, sir, it's him. And he's calling us.
Trouble is, it's not too serious. We'll alert the people to control unit. Space Patrol, a cargo ship JF-307. What's your difficulty?
We're badly damaged. Our power's out. We've got to abandon ship. We're in spacesuits now.
Can you hold out in free fall until the tow ship gets here from Jupiter?
We're in a real spot. My partner's injured, and we're taking a lot of radiation.
Radiation?
Yes, something went wrong with our reactor shielding.
What happened? The meteor hit you?
Worse, sabotage.
We'll get you off that ship right away. How many are aboard?
2, my partner and I.
He's injured.
Yes, but he can walk. Look, the radiation count's way above the danger point. It'll take you several minutes to maneuver into position.
We'll make it as fast as we can. Oh, wait. Have you got a space raft aboard?
Yes, I was just about to suggest it.
Fine. You get your friend aboard the raft and get away from your ship. Even a few hundred yards will cut down the radiation count considerably. Hurry, out. Well, Hap, you're going to have to lay out. We've got to see that those men get medical attention as soon as possible. Okay. Bring out a couple of spacers, Matt. We'll have to help that injured man into the airlock.
A few moments later, Buzz decelerates the spaceship as he sights the tiny space rat floating away from the damaged cargo ship under the propulsion of compressed air from the jetpack. With rockets cut off, Buzz and Happy stand in the airlock of their ship, looking through the open hatch as the raft maneuvers closer.
Commander Corey to Space Raft. Can you read me? Yes, Commander. Accelerate with your forward jetpack. It'll save your pal a rough bump. Sure. Raft is secured, sir. Magnetic field is holding it steady. Is your partner conscious? Yes, but he's pretty weak. We'll help him aboard. Come on, pal. On your feet. We're safe now. That's it. I've got his arm. There you go. Have steady him while I help you. I can manage fine, thanks. You better let me take that box to you aboard. It's okay. There's some personal effects. All right, close the hatch, Hap. Let's get into the ship. Yes, sir. I'll get the inner hatch. Okay, we can raise our face pieces now.
Well, the cadet will take you back after you can get out of those spacesuits. Hap, that injured man is pretty weak. Better hold him.
Yes, sir.
I've got something in this box that'll make him feel better.
Oh, first aid kit, huh?
Not quite. If you don't get your hands up, you'll need more than first aid.
Commander, it's a blast gun.
You're taking over the ship, Corey. Just obey orders. You'll find it's a simple way to stay alive.
We'll return to Space Patrol in just a moment. Now hear this, Space Patrollers, the most important announcement we have ever made. Right now, today, you can get a model of the rocket cockpit, a scientific, accurate scale model of the new Star Drive patrol ship called Project Infinity. It's the very one Commander Corey and Cadet Happy are testing in this exciting adventure. Gang, listen to this. Your model rocket cockpit has everything the real one has. A big moving viewscope that shows you all the major planets and tells you their names. You can send and decode secret messages with the master coders. They have a system that will be known only to space patrollers, and you'll get a big bang out of the sensational atomic cannons. They have real sighting mechanisms, and you can fire projectiles accurately from port or starboard side. You'll control gravity with the thrust handles that govern special rocket mechanisms. And you'll be able to set the special time computers to Star Drive, the secret invention that takes you through time at heretofore unbelievable speeds. Yes, gang, your model rocket cockpit has all these moving parts and plenty of other dials, computers, and control devices. And it's so real-looking, you'll feel you're in your own ship, having all kinds of exciting adventures for yourself and your pals. Your rocket cockpit stands more than a foot high, almost 2 feet wide, and it has 9 moving controls. And there'll be lots more fun for you if you can follow along in your rocket cockpit and receive the secret messages the commander will be sending out from time to time. Now, I'm sure that every one of you listening today will want to send for your very own rocket cockpit. So here's what you do. Send your name and address and 25 cents in coin, plus 2 wrappers from any size Nestle's chocolate bars to Nestle, Box 54, St. Louis, Missouri. Again, it's your name and address and 25 cents in coin, plus wrappers from any 2 Nestle's chocolate bars to Nestle, Box 54, St. Louis, Missouri. And hurry, fellas and girls, don't miss a minute of the fun of owning your very own rocket cockpit. And now, back to our Space Patrol adventure, The Voice from the Future. Buzz and Happy are making a test flight of a new Star Drive ship when they're hailed by a cargo ship claiming to have been sabotaged. Leaving the 2 occupants of the cargo vessel to be in danger of radiation from the damaged ship, Buzz orders them to launch a space raft and leave the wreck. The space patrollers pull the 2 men aboard their ship, whereupon one of the men suddenly produces a blast gun from a metal box he's carrying. As he orders Buzz and Happy to raise their hands, the other man, supposedly injured, briskly steps forward.
Keep them covered, sir.
Walk.
Yes, Commander. By the way, I owe you something for putting the Red Star Line out of operation.
You did that yourself by your crooked methods.
I am back in business, Corey, as of this minute.
Let's not stick around here too long, Dexter. We've got to make Corey get us away from here.
We won't need him to operate the regular rocket drive. Besides, there's probably a technical manual aboard if we get stuck. In fact, I think all you do to cut in the rockets is press this lever. You got it! That'll get us far out in space. We'll look up Corey and the cadet and try to figure out that star drive.
I'm warning you, Dexter. Don't play around with that hyperspace drive. It involves the kind of arithmetic where 2 and 2 don't always make 4.
I can figure it out. And if I get stuck, I'll make you give us a hand.
Yeah, you'd be surprised, Corey, what Dexter and I already know about the star drive. You'd be surprised at what you don't know about.
Soren, march him back aft and lock him up. I'm going to get this ship into hyperspace before Corey's outfit starts searching for him.
Locked in an aft compartment of the ship, Buzz and Happy are helpless as Dexter and Soren fumble with the star drive controls.
You think they'll be able to work it, sir? They might hit on the right procedure just by chance. Maybe one of the other ships will come along looking for us when we don't report back. They're going to stop Dexter. They better do it before he stumbles onto the star drive.
They've hit the combination. We're going into star drive.
But we aren't up to peak rocket velocity. I'm blacking out. So am I. But they are too. If we come to first, maybe we can break out of here.
Under the stress of the sudden transition from regular three-dimensional space to hyperspace, Buzz and Happy lose consciousness. Then, as they lie on the deck of the compartment, they dimly become aware of the strange pulsations of a hyperspace drive. For what seems like hours, they're unable to move. Even their minds are sluggish, unable to concentrate. At last, Buzz struggles to his feet and tugs at Happy.
Come on, Happy. Try to step on.
It's sort of strange. Like I'm half dreaming.
We've got to find out what's going on up in the rocket cockpit.
We're still in star drive from the sound of it.
Yeah. I've never been in hyperspace this long before.
Not even when we made that 500,000 light-year trip several weeks ago.
Let's see if we can get that compartment door open.
Yes, sir. Well, one thing about this ship, it's built strong.
Now, hold it, man. Somebody's unlocking the doors. Be on guard. Maybe we can overpower them now.
Corey!
Sorry.
Corey! I've got him, Commander.
Corey, help.
Get Dexter. Something's wrong with Soren.
He's slow.
Dexter's going crazy. The ship, it's out of control.
Captain, drag him in.
Yes, sir.
Lock him up and get up to the cockpit. Hurry.
Dexter's just standing with the controls with his back to us.
You still have that blaster.
All right, Corey. Take it easy. I got you covered.
Got yourself in a fine nest, Dexter.
Are you going to get me out? Fix the star drive. Go on, get busy.
What did you do to your pal, Soren?
He went off his rocket. I had to block him. Where is he?
He's locked up back there. He said you were crazy.
Tell me what's wrong. Everything's black outside the ship. No stars, nothing, just pitch blackness.
It's the way it always is in hyperspace. We're in another dimension. Light doesn't register.
There's some light. I saw it. Flashes of blue and violet, real mixed up and crazy. Corey, you got to get us out of this.
Just keep under control. I'll take a look at the hyperspace computer. Are these instruments exactly as you first set them up?
No. I blacked out. And when I came to, that blackness out there got me worried, so I started turning the dial.
Oh, you really messed things up. You aren't supposed to change a thing while the ship's in hyperspace. It throws us clear off vector.
You can fix it. You got to.
Look, there are millions of possible combinations of settings. We might spend the rest of our lives in hyperspace trying to find a setting that will bring us out in regular space.
Well, don't stand there talking. Do something.
Remember, Dexter, we're in this fix because you were doing something.
I couldn't help it. The darkness and then those flashes and the voices. Those voices were the worst of all.
Voices?
What voices? From the spaceophone. It was gibberish and strange growls. They about drove me out of my mind. I cut them off.
I didn't think a spaceophone would work in hyperspace.
Ordinarily it won't. Dexter has things so messed up, we'll try.
Smoking rockets. Where did that come from?
No way to tell. Evidently some spaceophone signals filter through in slits like those flashes of light.
Yeah, but from where? That sound certainly wasn't from our solar system.
Hap, I think we're on some sort of spiral in hyperspace. We're whirling round and round.
Pull us out of it.
There's no way to tell what direction to go, either in time or space.
There's another signal, sir.
Expect the agreement to have a beneficial effect on world commerce.
Commander, it's English.
New York City. 4 Australian swimming champions arrived here today and immediately plunged into the final phase of training for the Olympic Games.
It's a newscast.
Officials of the Olympic Committee are confident that world records will be broken this year in track and field events as well as in other sports.
That's funny. There aren't
One
any Olympic
prediction
Games
is
this
certain.
year.
More athletes will compete in the 1972 Olympic Games than in any similar event in history.
You say 1972? That's what it sounded
Right.
like, but I don't...
I've just been handed a special bulletin. White Sands Proving Grounds, New Mexico. A 3-stage rocket carrying 2 men has landed on the moon. A radio report from across 238,000 miles of space states that both men are safe. There are no details at present. But, friends, there's no doubt about it. The era of space travel is definitely here. We'll keep you informed of further...
Hey, is that guy nuts? Why is he so excited about a rocket reaching the moon? That's been going on for 1,000 years.
Yes, he did say 1972. And it was in October 1972 that the first man-piloted rocket reached the moon.
Sure, everybody knows that. What kind of a newscast was that? All ancient history. It's a wonder he didn't tell us about Columbus.
Don't you realize what happened? We picked up a broadcast that left Earth over 1,000 years ago.
What?
It's our yardstick. Our measuring number.
Now, you're sounding crazy.
Let me adjust that time computer on the rocket cockpit. Now we know our approximate position in hyperspace. We're at the distance a radio signal would travel in. Let me see, from 1972 to now, it's 1,009 years.
Corey, what are you going to do?
I'm going to reset our hyperspace vector. If we haven't completely gummed up the works, we'll emerge back in regular space a few light years from the solar system.
Nothing's happening. It's not going to work. We'll be in this crazy mixed-up space the rest of our lives. You should kick, Dexter. You were mixed up in regular space. Commander, you've hit it.
Right, Hap. Hold on, we're coming out of star drive.
Commander, you did it. Look through the viewport. Stars, hundreds of them. We're back in regular space. Where are we? Are we near the solar system?
Let's check. There's Orion, Hercules.
And over there is Andromeda.
The solar system is about 5 light years in that direction.
Good. Set up the computer.
It'll be fairly simple this time.
Hey, Commander, I've been thinking about that news broadcast that we picked up.
Yes, Hap, what about it?
That was something that happened 1,000 years ago, and yet we heard it just as though it was taking place in the present.
It was probably a rare freak condition in hyperspace. A leak through the space-time warp. Something we can't regulate.
Well, if it happened to an event in the past, could it happen to a future event? I mean, could we pick up a broadcast of next year's news?
It's an interesting idea, huh? Offhand, I'd say no, but there's a lot we don't know about hyperspace.
Quit the chatter and set up the vector.
It's all set. I'll cut in the star drive.
No, you don't. I'll take over from now on. I know how to operate the star drive now. I don't need you.
You'd better think twice, Dexter.
I know what I'm doing. I'm locking you out. And when we're back in the solar system, I'm turning you over to the big boss.
And who's that?
You'll find out soon enough. Now get back up. I'll let Foreign out and lock you up.
Are you sure you know how to work this star drive, Dexter?
Yeah. I've been watching Corey operate it. I almost had it right the first time.
Sorry I lost my head a while ago. I thought we were finished.
Forget it. From now on, we've got nothing to worry about. Well, here we go into the star drive. See? There's no blacking out. In a few seconds, we'll be back in the solar system.
Say, you really have got it down.
Official Space Patrol bulletin from Terra headquarters.
Space Patrol, it's Corey's voice, but Corey's back up.
Attention all units to bulletin dated October 3rd.
What's going on here today?
Shut up! Discontinue search for Star Drive test ship and the new rocket cockpit. The ship has been returned to Lunar Fleet Base. The thieves, Rourke Dexter and Nate Soren, were captured yesterday and are being held at Terra headquarters. End of report. Corey out.
What does he mean we're captured? We're right here. Dexter, what's the matter?
That was right. In hyperspace, you can pick up future broadcasts, just like you can the past.
What are you talking about?
We heard what is going to happen tomorrow. Somehow, Corey and the cadet are going to overpower us.
Not if we fix it so they can't. Let's finish him now.
In the locked compartment, Buzz and Happy carefully placed their inflated spacesuits in a sitting position on a bunk while listening intently for a sound at the door.
Just the helmets or the face pieces are away from the door, Hap. We want the suits to look occupied, at least at first glance.
Yes, sir. Do you think Dexter will fall for that spacephone call?
I'm not sure. We'll give him a rough joke.
After what I heard a while ago, I think maybe I'd believe a future broadcast myself.
Hap, get back against the wall next to the door. I'll hear something. There's the secret of your spaceophone call from the future, Dexter.
Yeah. They use their suit spaceophone. Yeah. We'll just put an end to that. Get out of that bunk, Corey. You too, Cadet.
Yeah, your little practical joke is going to prove fatal. For you.
Get Soren, Hap. I'll handle Dexter.
All right, hold the blaster on. I'll go up to the cockpit to check the position.
I'm not licked yet, Corey. And don't think your fake spaceophone call fooled me. I knew all the time it wasn't the broadcast from the future.
That was no fake, Dexter. Every word about your capture is true. That same bulletin will be spaceophone tomorrow, won't it, sir?
Yes, Hap. Here's the ironic part of it, Dexter. You made it come true by trying to make it false.
An action preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure in just a moment.
Say, is it true that Space Patrollers can now get models of the new rocket cockpit?
That's right, Hap. We're offering every Space Patroller a model of our new rocket cockpit for his very own.
Smoking rockets, Commander. That's cosmic. A model of the rocket cockpit is so real, we use it as a trainer. And it has so many moving parts, so many terrific controls.
It certainly is the most exciting offer we've ever made. Space Patrollers, your rocket cockpit is an exact model of the one on our brand new Star Drive ship. It has a big moving viewscope, special gravity controls, master coder and decoder, big, powerful atomic cannons you can actually fire, and, of course, the special time drive computers that enable you to fly through time into hyperspace.
Wait till you see it. It's more than a foot high and almost 2 feet wide. Boy, will you want to get one, and fast.
Gang, here's how to get your rocket cockpit. Send your name and address and 25 cents in coin, plus the wrappers from any 2 Nestle's chocolate bars, to Nestle, Box 54, St. Louis, Missouri. That's Nestle, Box 54, St. Louis, Missouri.
And now, a preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure. Buzz and Happy are on Mars, searching for a special piece of electronics equipment from another solar system. A girl guides them to a room where 2 men are carrying a heavy instrument. Just what is that instrument, Gather?
I don't know. An acquaintance asked us to get it. Set it down, Gordon.
Hey, look out for that chair.
How clumsy it is. It's smashed to bits.
Well, maybe it can be fixed. Here, I'll help you pick up the pieces.
Don't bother, Cadet. Get it. Hey. Get the girl, Gordon. I'll cover these 2 with a blast gun.
Be sure to be with us next week for the thrilling story, Message to Arctona on Space Patrol. Space Patrol, created by Mike Moser, starring Ed Kemmer as Commander Corey and Lynn Osborne as Cadet Happy, was written by Lou Houston, produced and directed by Larry Robertson, executive producer Helen Moser. Other players were Norman Jolly, Ken Mayer, and Bela Kovac. Dick Tufeld speaking. Now, don't forget to tune in next Saturday and every Saturday for exciting action on Space Patrol. This week's Space Patrol was brought to you by Nestle's Ever-Ready, the instant cocoa, Nestle's Quick for great chocolate milk, and Nestle's chocolate bars. This program is broadcast to our armed forces overseas through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Space Patrol came to you transcribed from Hollywood.
This is ABC Radio Network.